Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Trovo Challenge in NA. We are going to be covering the second semi-final match. I'm, of course, Simo. I have not changed over the past hour and a half. And, of course, alongside me is Vansili. He's a little happier, a little more full. We've both had our dinners, and we're ready to get locked in for this next match. Vansili, what are we feeling? What are we looking forward to these two teams?
Just kidding. I didn't mute my mic this time.
I looked over. I was like, yo.
No, I just needed like a little laugh so I could wake up. I just ate, like you said, and because of eating, well, you got the whole I'm tired after eating kind of thing, but thankfully I didn't eat any carbs. So I still have some energy, got some leaves in me, got some protein in me as well. And the second semifinal, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a matchup that's going to wake us up as well because it is Way2French versus Underrated. Way2French, I think I've been harping about him a lot, especially looking at this qualifier for the Trovo Challenge for Valorant, for them to win it all. But I haven't seen Underrated play yet. And if Underrated is able to do so many upsets throughout these brackets, throughout these tournaments, throughout these 2 weeks, I guess, it's not looking as promising after all.
To be quite honest, Way2French, they've had a great run through varying open qualifier tournaments. They very recently replaced one of their players for Jbzzz. So he's had some time to adjust in the lineup, and we'll see if that adjustment has caused some improvements over the course of weeks and weeks, you know, when playing with a new player, especially considering I feel like he takes more of the Sage role. Replacing the Sage can be very, very difficult considering, like, T1 Sage is Skadoodle. Like, how are you going to replace Skadoodle if he just leaves, right? So I think Sage players can be very, very important to replace him for the side of Way2French. Hopefully they've had their lineup really cooking. Hopefully they're feeling good. But of course, on the other side, Team Underrated, they're looking to make some waves. And to be quite honest, I don't really know a whole lot about this roster, but they took out big frames, and that means a lot to me.
That's what I was telling you about, man. If you're able to upset some top teams, or at least teams that consider tier 2 since the beta came out, and you're still able to upset them, you're on the radar. We want to know, we want to see what you're able to pull out of your pockets. If you're going to be able to pull these upsets, what kind of upsets can you bring versus Way2French? Way2French, just to touch on that topic as well, yes, indeed, they did lose a player, if I'm not mistaken. It was Kohler, right? Kohler was playing with Way2French, got picked up to play with Immortals now. Now that they have use, I think they've played at least 2 tournaments, at least 2 or 3 tournaments with use already. So I think they kind of have that chemistry right now in terms of a full roster. Like you said, as a Sage, I mean, it's the type of person that you'll see rotate a lot, heal a lot, be the utility player, but could also be a very good fragger. But when you're looking at the rest of the roster, I talked about it yesterday too, you have somebody, I always talk about Melio and Nano. Melio is the type of person that's playing as a Cypher, usually able to solo hold on maps like Haven, which is actually the first map that we're going to see tonight in this best out of 3. And then Nano is just an all-out fragger as a duelist, mainly playing as a Raze in most of the maps. And I always see him on the highlight reel with multiple kills, really using the showstopper to its advantage too, whether it's to clear sites, entries, or even post-plant situations. He knows how to play that type of duelist agent. So I think there's a lot on paper to show that Way2French should be able to beat this team versus team Underrated. But is it going to be 2 maps? Is it going to be 3 maps? Is it going to be close? Is it going to be a blowout? That is what I'm mostly interested about. And that's mostly because literally Underrated, I like underrated teams. I like dark horses. So I'm hoping to see a lot from this team.
You know, just to clarify, Kohler was not on Way2French. I dug deep into the Liquipedia archives, and I found that it was Yanji. He used to play. Don't really remember a whole lot of him. Of course, there's been a lot of players that have crossed our minds over the past several weeks. So Jbzzz replacing Yanji, a Y for a Y. I don't know. Hopefully they're going to be feeling a little bit better with their performance moving forward with this new player. I talked to, I believe it was Nano about it, and he's looking forward to trying to have Jbzzz really fit in well with the roster. But, you know, on the opposite side, like you've been really touching on, Underrated, there's not a lot of players that we seem to recognize. And if we do, we've seen them kind of shuffled around. So a lot of these players maybe feel like they might be kind of at the bottom of the barrel. You know, there's a lot of North American teams that are looking to fulfill out their rosters. Like we recently saw Team High Ground, 4 out of the 5 players being picked up by 100 Thieves. Well, what if Team Underrated? What if 3 out of the 5, 4 out of the 5 is what, you know, Cloud9 needs? Or what if that's what, you know, Evil Geniuses need to fill out their Valorant roster, right? So it's tournaments like these for Way2French and for a team like Team Underrated to really show what they're capable of. And you have to believe that Way2French are looking to be the next Gen G or try to fill those shoes and be the next French-Canadian team to be on the map. Because there seems to be a lot of French Canadians that are competing in Valorant all of a sudden, and
definitely want to support that. Definitely want to support that.
I love it. Yeah, you and I being both Canadians, we love it. You love to see it. Yeah.
Good. Even when you're looking at just Canadian players, right? You see a lot of Canadian flags in multiple teams. I mean, Curtis from Demon Time was one of them. Stealthy playing for 303 Orange. Randy Savage playing for Big Frames was one of them too. Wardell for TSM. But it's rare where you see a lot of full Canadian rosters in pro scenes, and it's nice to see that Gen G has that, because when I think about it in Counter-Strike, I can't really think about a tier 1 team that's full Canadian. They've all moved out to work and play again with different organizations to try to be that #1 North American team and not necessarily a #1 Canadian/North American team. And that brings me back to like the 1.6 days when Evil Geniuses was only known as Evil Genius, and then their roster, the Canadian roster, was like Bloodshot, Kurt Kolak, Black Panther, Jimmy Lin, who actually still plays Valorant these days. So he came back from the woodwork and is just pubbing for fun with some friends. I see Kurt Kolak do the same thing, but it's refreshing that Valorant brought a lot of these old school names back. And that's what's given me the drive to actually play Valorant as well, is just to see old friends from like 10 years ago come back, play the game, still having fun with it, and still have that same type of feel of what it used to be in terms of movement mechanics and shooting mechanics. But adding the abilities on top of it is definitely a plus that adds more, a fresher taste and a fresher view into a game, into the competitive scene.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, you may be just joining us for the first time. Of course, this is being streamed live on Trovo. This is the Trovo Challenge Valorant Championship. This is the semifinal, the second semifinal. Earlier on today, we did see Oxygen win 2-0 over Demon Time. They are fighting for a spot tomorrow to compete for a $5,000 end-of-the-line finish. Second place, of course, going to be 1,800. So a lot on the line for these two teams to try to push forward, address any of those demons that they've experienced in this qualifier, and make it out on top to the grand finals. Let's go with our first map underway. It's going to be Haven.
That's right, and we do have Way2French on the attacker side. It starts off with an early wall towards C, so that means their position's kind of given away because you have shot it out. We're trying to peek as well as the Phoenix across, but Nano does not win that fight. Shock darts coming in from that C side as well, but everybody has fallen back to put a wall up towards B and a spike plant towards B, or attempt.
Yeah. Oh, but there's going to be a face full of lead for Shanks. Incred going to take him down. That spike has been planted, and now it is up to Underrated to try to push through the site, make sure that they can divide and conquer, get those frags that they need and defuse that spike. But again, it's in one of those tricky situations where you've got vision line down through the courtyard, Incred with one, Angie's going to be the one to follow. They'll start to defuse, but like you said earlier on in the previous map, all you do is just ping it out and just frag him out. Mill with one, Millie with two. Poised, going to take down that player. And it's Incred to finish off the round. The headshots clean, and Way2French start off strong with the 3-man advantage.
What I like about Way2French as well is that they pretty much always have the same agents playing as this roster, right? You have the core. I talk about the core S tier, the core 3, the Brimstone, the Cypher, and the Sage. But the other two that really never changes, they always have that Sova, because the Sova is actually quite important for the amount of information you can actually grab without forcing yourself to use an ultimate or getting yourself killed. So having arrow, recon arrows, and also the owl drone gives so much there in terms of availability or information that you could use as the agent.
Seeing there, the push start for Way2French. Smokes are going to go down, and what a beautiful read. No one on the site. Underrated. Try to get the call for the Zerg rush towards the courtyard, but look, there's fire in the flames. They've got that push settled. Shanks is going to start with one,
wow,
but
nice.
You just let that trigger finger fly. The lawnmower cuts the grass, and it's Way2French that clean it up. Team Underrated. Yet another round on the board that they have lost, but they will have the weaponry now to hopefully contend with Way2French. Pretty good round for the attacker side, and we'll see how the defense answer back with Phantoms and Vandals across the board.
I still think that the defense round was really good too on that last one, because that came out of a single curveball from the Phoenix. Shanks throwing it out towards that C garage allows them to get 3 kills with just classics. So that means they had very minimal buys on that defensive round, and they're still able to get 3 kills, and they're forcing low buys into this round for Way2French. I saw a Spectre in the hands of the Brimstone, so Incred's going to be the first one trying to move in and get some information as he catches nolpenki, pants down, orb out, and Cred getting a second kill.
What is happening? Way2French. They've got the confidence of a fresh baguette out the grocery store. Shank's going to push onto the site, take one. Nano will answer back quickly. Already, they are starting to see some confidence come out from the attacker side. But we have to remember, Vansili, this map can feel a little bit more attacker favored. So
yes,
just because we're seeing Way2French start the bulldoze early, we may see a rock or a boulder in their path when it comes to that second half. And Underrated will be looking to provide that boulder, provide that rock to stop this momentum. But we talked about it before in the previous map. You win round 1, you win round 2. If you win the third, it is difficult for the economy to start to come back for the defense.
Definitely. And if you're looking at how things have been played so far for Way2French, if I'm checking out the spike.gg, the amount of times that they played on Haven, in this tournament, they've actually only won it once and lost twice. And then Bind is where they have the most success. And Bind is actually that second map. So maybe that's why we kind of see Way2French being able to start on the attacker side first, because I'm assuming this would be Underrated's map pick. And then Way2French is like, okay, well, we're going to take the easier side for us where we feel comfortable. So we'll take the attacker side, and it starts off very well because it's already 3-0. And they muster up maybe 4 or 5 more rounds into that first half. They'll be looking great in the best out of 3.
Yeah, but having a quick look at that replay, like, you fumble the barrier orb, and then there's the Sova with his pants down. You should get the refrag there. You don't mess up things like that. You just don't. And I just think Team Underrated, maybe, you know, sometimes you wake up and it's just not your day. It may be that day for Underrated. Hopefully they get the swing back into their favor. They find the confidence that they need. We're seeing a little bit of a spread for them to defend each side, of course. But they need some confidence. They need something to go their way. Maybe it's a pick. Maybe it's a flank. Maybe it's calling the correct read on the rotate. If there's a 5-stack towards C, you've got three there defending, and you call the read. They need a confidence booster right now because Way2French, they are way too high right now.
Yeah, they have to wake up right away because this is only single elimination, right? They lose this one here, they lose $1,000. They only walk away with $800 as a team. You win this one, you guarantee grand finals, you guarantee $1,800. First place, $5,000, and it starts with a run it back to get information. He only spots one towards that window, which is going to be the operator of the Sova inside the area, but also the Sage on the left. At least they come in for a plant, but it's going to be a full man retake.
Man, how do you lose those 50s? You get the swing, and then Melio just takes him out. Ange, though, he'll get the refrag, so at least that's good. Trying not to harp too much on Underrated, but they were just seeing Way2French take them apart as I eat my words. A trade occurs. They'll start the defuse there, but of course, Orbital Strike is there to deny that potential defuse. Incred in a great position. It's going to be a tripwire that spots out one. There's a great angle here from Millie as he looks to try to deny any of those diffuses. No smokes, I think, available for the defense. They'll have to get that call potentially to back away. There's going to be one in the courtyard. Shank's going to find one and still looking for some of those exit frags as Shank's trying to hunt down the last player with the operator in the hands of the Sova player. Gonna survive to see another round, and it's 4 deep, but a very expensive one for Way2French.
Yeah, and speaking about fun facts, it'll be nice to actually, because I don't know if it's actually a fact or not, but we'll have to ask Mil, playing as the Sova, what does his name mean? Because in French, Mil means 1,000. Why would your name be 1,000, right? But there's also the expression in French, en plein dans mille, right in the target. So I'm wondering, because he's a fragger right now, also with the operator for the team, he has a name like Mil, be like, I'm always on target. We'll see if that's going to be the case. I'll have to talk to him one day.
Yeah. Good boost here, but also great jiggle peek from Way2French. Oh!
Too easy.
Incred, yeah. He's going to feel that in the morning. And what a boost, too. That's one of those things that you kind of get tricky with it. And you make the opposition, you know, rethink their strategies moving forward. So great pick there. It's now the 4v5, and that pick will, you know, make it a little bit more difficult for the attackers to feel confident to push forward. And we're seeing how confident Way2French has been. they'll start to push in with the paint shells, try to dissuade Team Underrated for holding on to the site, but they're holding fast. Very different from what we saw in the previous semifinal.
Yeah, they have a trap wire. I'm pretty sure the Cypher still has the camera up in case they try to execute in. Ange going to be the one inside the site. He's going to get spotted by a recon arrow, but Spoy still gets the first kill. They're still moving inside. He's still staying alive. Finally, Melio drops him down. So we have a 2-on-2 situation. The spike is still up. There's still plenty of time to move into the site and get the plant. On top of that, a neural theft to see both of the defenders rotating from the spawn. Mill right on target. I was mentioning before, gets the wall bang onto the Sage, so Kempeki falls, leaving only one more to go. He's trying to scan him out with the Owl drone, will be able to do so. So the Sova is going to try, as 4-pack, attempt a clutch at 2 versus 1.
He's going to crack open a cold one. Saturdays are for the boys as he pushes in, but unfortunately his boys are no longer with him. It's Melio that'll take him down. Saturdays are for Way2French as they win yet another round. 5-0 start for them. And that's got to hurt, you know. Underrated, they're buying into these rounds. An expensive 4-pack here with the Operator. Yes, gets a kill onto Incred, but you lose the round and you lose the op. So potentially seeing a 6-0 scoreline to kick us off, but they'll still force up somehow. But not everyone has the credit. So Ange, we're seeing here with the Ghost, but it's 4-pack really committing to that Operator.
We're going to try to get some information towards the A side as well as the Raze is pushing aggressively with the Sage. So that is going to be Nano moving forward here with Use to try to contest this orb. Don't know if because they're getting close to the ultimate here, but the Satchel charged is to push some players back. The camera is up and it's in a great angle to prevent any type of peaks coming in early from the attacker side. So that's going to remain calm for a bit. You see the spike being dropped intentionally pretty much at the entrance of B. So we are playing the pickoff game for Way2French. We're trying to get some information. And just one thing, that boost was amazing. I wanted to add on to that there, Simo, because usually you get a body boost, you can't really see on top of the smoke. You add the Sage wall, it was an open pick for the Operator down towards Long C.
Yeah, of course they'll not let them get that pick once again. The Operator has kind of shifted over, and you got to keep it fresh, you know. We're seeing the top of the line Operator users really have the opposition guess where they're going to be. So this last round he was C, this time he's B, now he's rotated over to A. Heavy committal of resources towards that A site. And now look at this camera. Beautiful execution, smokes on both doors. The barrier orb as well to continue to cut it off, but it's the Hunter's Fury that is trying to deny it. 4-pack with 1, but he still has a couple more cold ones to get through before they defuse that spike.
Definitely, and these guys are not here to relax for Way2French. It is not the 4th of July for them because we've already celebrated our statutory holiday basically 3 days ago on July 1st. Now, Shanks though, 4-pack, Kempeki, that 3 simultaneous kill moving inside the site. Somehow, everybody died instantly for Way2French. We're going to be able to move in, get the defuse, and it's going to be the first point on the scoreboard for Team Underrated. Much needed because it took a damn long time before they got it. At least they also have 5 alive.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, that was the force up. Look at the double op play now. They are able to not only win the round, but put themselves in a position moving forward for the rounds that are left in this half to say, you peek us at 2 different angles, we are going to take you down. You know, peeker's advantage, very difficult in Valorant, and it's not really the same as you know you might see in other peekers advantage games or other FPS titles where you might find yourself in a 50-50 position when somebody peeks, but we're seeing it here. The double up finds Nano, and it's a great start for the defense.
Yeah, and even on top of that, you can get a res. You can even contest the orb because you have the wall up at the same time too. But you have a Hunter Security that's coming out here from the attacker side, and that's going to be Mill. A res on top of that too. Back to a 5-on-3 situation. 2-minute advantage coming in for Way2French. Rushing inside the site. 4-packs waiting with the Operator. That's 1 down. It's a curveball to come out too, but they are dropping slowly but surely. Only Ange stays alive, but just like that, it's a 1 versus 1. The hat comes out, but peekaboo, Milos right there, and he gets the kill and a win for Way2French to reset the economy of Team Underrated.
You don't lose those rounds, Underrated. You win a round, you force up, you've got double op, use it. There are so many long distance angles. Yes, okay, you get the early frag onto Nano, 4-pack as well, but Way2French, they're just so good at close range. Once they were able to close the gap, it was difficult for 4-pack especially 4-pack, to be like, okay, where do I look? I'm stuck playing Ring Around the Rosie behind this box, and I've got all these French Canadians that are rushing me down, and I have no idea what to do.
For sure. And now it's going to be them back playing super passively for Team Underrated, as they have a stack inside this site towards C. The Owl Drones kiss each other. They spot a couple of guys here towards the C side too, and it's going to be a recon arrow that's probably going to spot Angie, who goes for a pre-fired shot, still gets the headshot onto use a second one. So they're switching sites, and it's working out here, Simo.
Oh, already Nano will answer back, but still at what cost? It's a 2v3 Ange. Trying to hold things on here for the site. The spray comes through, and it's 1, 2, 3 into the 4. Snoop Doggy Doggy's right at that door. 4 kills here for Ange, dropping it like it's hot. And they'll win another round on the board for them. 2-6 the scoreline, 4 remaining in the half. And they're just trying to make ends meet as Way2French have a 4-round lead. But look at this, just great positioning from the Cypher, and then unfortunate positioning for Way2French to line up exactly for Ange.
Simo, can you stop dropping rhymes for me from Snoop Dogg? Because we're both casting standing up. You're going to make me want to start dancing and doing sea walks and stuff, you know? At least the camera's not pointing our feet.
I didn't know you were a Crip. Man, I'm a Blood. I think that we're in some trouble now, bro.
Well, you know what? When we talk about French Canada, we always talk about the province of Quebec and our flag is blue. But with the action, though, they're pushing inside the C site. It is going to be some sort of a force buy coming in for Way2French that's fully denied. This is 2 times in a row that they're trying to rush inside the C site, and it's been blocked. This time, though, they did need the help of the Cypher that kept his guards towards the A side of Ange. Now it seems as though we're finally starting to find footing here for Underrated onto this defender side. And they're starting to make this very close, because getting another round here, they're going to be looking very good on the second half.
Yeah, that means that Way2French will have to eco, and then they'll get the force up on the last round. But that means a potential, you know, 5-7 scoreline. And to be quite honest, keeping it really competitive means that when now you're on the attacker side, on an attacker-sided map, you can feel a little bit more comfortable moving forward. But moving forward is Way2French down banana. They'll find 4-pack, a crucial member as well to take out the operator, no longer in play. And now it's the 4v5 with Way2French looking for their spike plant.
And this is good because they get the pick early towards this A side. You're forced to keep the Cypher there. He's putting the camera up. Now he's going to have to hold solo sites. You're playing in pretty much darkness for the defenders. Nobody's really pushing out anymore to get information because they can't afford to lose any players. Now you see it's slowly starting to change, though. 2 players now meeting up towards this garage. Phoenix is already running out, and now this is the call to move inside A. And now the first pick comes in from Ange onto Nano, and we are committing for Way2French. Can he hold it?
Good pull back here from Ange. He makes his way out. They'll get that spike down. They'll put up a barrier orb as well to boot. Ange seems like he's the rock for the team, keeping the dreams alive. He's going to be making his way up into heaven to try to rain down from above. But it's the rest of the team that are stuck in this choke point. They have to push in. And on the opposite side is Way2French. 1 comes through. Millie with the shot. Does he have the rock away? It is a couple kills traded away. Milio with 2. It's still now down to the 1v2. Drops down to hell. The headshot's clean. It's still 1v1 now. He'll start the defusal, but it's a Brimstone. The Molotov comes through. He's going to have to back away. And now, where is this pesky Brimstone? Looking up in towards the sewers. The headshot is good, but the spike is not. And he's got to let it blow. 3-7 scoreline, 2 rounds remaining. Whew, it's a close one here. Although the rounds look like they are stacked a little bit more towards Way2French, these rounds are dangerously close.
Remember when I kind of called out the Brimstone witness from Demon Time? Why didn't you throw a molly at that at that area? That's exactly what I was talking about. And just like that, even if he lost that fight, he wasted so much time already. There's no way he could have had a half the fuse on a spike either. He gets the kill, forces down the sewers. By the time you run back, it's too late to go for a full defuse, and that possibly what would have helped Demon Time move forward into that map on Haven.
Yeah, unfortunate for 4-pack. He was looking right towards the window, but then pulled his angle off. I mean, it might actually bode well for him. They're preparing for a push in through the courtyard. Still still undecided if they're going to go towards the doors or if they're going to go towards B. Looks like B will be the call. The shot is good from ForPack through his own barrier orb, but now back of sight. It's pandemonium as the orbital strike is sent flying. Nano will follow suit with a little bit of a blast pack, but Shanks waiting on the opposite side. It's going to be a little crazy here. Poised with one. Incred will trade it back. Poised with two. Looking for the third. It's Emilio that'll deny it. Now it's the 2v1. Billy, he's got to have defended. That wall is going to be going up, but all he needs are shock darts. The Blaze. Curveball going to be coming through. Ange is going to fall. All he needs to do is survive, and around the corner Shanks goes, proving to us how close these rounds can go. But a 4-7 scoreline after the round.
That's right. As you can tell now, the overall scoreline doesn't really paint the picture of how close these rounds are when you're actually fighting these ones. It always comes down to these 2v2s, these 1v1s, using the abilities as well. Great opening picks too. Clutch situation trades. I mean, Underrated they have it all, basically, to be able to try to win this rounds against a team that's been around for quite a while since the inception of Valorant, of Way2French. So like I said, I wanted to see something positive out of this team so far for Underrated. I'm convinced so far. They look really, really good on how they're playing their game.
Yeah, and you know, you have to wonder what that next map might be. It might be Bind. It might be something that Way2French are a little bit more comfortable with.
It will be Bind.
Sorry, there you go. And then if it ends up going to that third map, that's where things get a little scary. Split and Ascent are very volatile when it comes to being attacker friendly, but we are seeing the attack. They're going to be looking towards C. Jbzzz will find one onto Ange, and the Sheriff tells us it's a little bit of a soft buy. So the Hunter's Fury going to try to stop the plant, and I don't think it'll tag anyone. So
nope.
Slow Orb making sure that he backs away, and now here comes the retake from Underrated.
Thankfully, his teammate was right behind him because he was going to lose a lot of HP, at least out of that one. Shanks, though, on that flank is able to take down Mil. And that's going to be now a 4-on-3 situation in favor of Team Underrated on this retake. They have an orbital strike. They have a run it back. No ultimates for Way2French, but they are boosted from the satchel charge as Nano is playing close on the site. They're wasting a lot of time here for Underrated, so it's going to be an all-out push last second. And they are making it work here for the defenders. They will get the defuse. It's 7-5, but then again, it was an eco round for Way2French.
Okay, here's my theory behind why Way2French are losing. I think their communication in the post plant is not good. So we've seen
not
already.
In French?
It's well, we've seen twice now where they get that spike down, and somehow they screw up on crucial angles. So we saw there, of course, it was the eco, but we saw Poised. He pushed in from C connector, and he got one, but there was another one that was lined up within the same crosshair range. Split it up, communicate the angles, make sure that you're covering your bases. I know that you only have 3 and you're defending against 4, but make sure that you're communicating and things are working out, because you can't just rely on your raw firepower. That can only get you so far, especially when we have teams like Code 7 that are playing strictly with strategy and less so with gunplay. Just be careful and get in those post plants correctly and communicate.
Yeah, when we talk about aim that's being important, definitely the pistol rounds is one of them, because you don't have that many max utilities. Sometimes if you buy full utilities, you don't have the armor or the shields to be able to help you out. So you have to be on point even if you're opting for something with just a classic. To start things off, though, we see some shock darts that are being thrown towards the short. It doesn't tag anybody there, but there was actually 2 people very close on the defender side, and that's a crossfire stack there from Melio and from Nano on that sewer. And they are walking into this, though. The camera is up. A recon's going to spot somebody at long as well. The execution is coming.
Wow, what a beautiful shock dart. Unfortunately, it doesn't take him out. He will take a lot of damage. Somehow Way2French have been able to defend some of this so far. There is one more member that is remaining. And around the corner, it's Jbzzz. Sage v Sage action! But the jukes are crispy clean as Jbzzz will come out on top. The man in the mirror battle. The one Sage will come out victorious. A pistol that goes over to Way2French can give him the confidence moving forward. But nevertheless, don't even really feel like it was that close.
Simo, this is the second time that we see a face-to-face battle where both of the players run out of bullets, and then they just start like running around like chickens with their heads cut off. And finally, though, at least Use was able to reload fast enough to get that frag. And again, it was just, I don't know, nolpenki on the flank on a late rotation, being that clutcher, I could see it. Because you have a self-heal to try to clutch situations. But I think on an execute for pistol rounds, stay with your team for the heals, in my opinion. But in that situation, I didn't expect, maybe they didn't expect that they were going to get rolled running into the C site. Though a Dig starts things off, and Use is going to have to heal himself, which means now that the heal has been used, and he won't be able to continue on for another, like, 45 seconds.
We are seeing the underrated push towards B, and there's a tripwire there to give them a lot of information. Mil as well. Ready there. They sense that something's coming. The recon bolt going to make things interesting. Nano will find one on the opposite side. They'll start to push Meal away, but they need to get that spike down and get it down quickly. Emilio will be there to get that spray down as well. Shanks will try to refrag, but it's just pandemonium on the site. They don't have the weaponry to deal. Poised, the last one remaining. Now here's the defusal come through. He's got to make things a little bit more expensive for the defense. Doesn't want their economy to balloon too far. A couple of shots, not going to connect, and now he's on the run, being hunted by the French Canadians. Another round on the board for Way2French, keeping the defense dream alive, but this is where Team Underrated have the weaponry to play. If Way2French are able to keep things a little bit more competitive and win this round, it could be very, very bad in terms of the round count for Team Underrated.
One thing, though, for when you're looking as a new player, why the hell did Poise not go and try to get kills? He has a classic only. He didn't buy that many abilities. The simple thing is you run away. You don't allow yourself to get killed because you're not giving an orb point away to your opponents. And Mill gets a nice shot from the garage to start things off as 4-Pack is trying to cross over. So a nice play for the Brimstone, like I said, to use his body to just stay alive into the next round, to not charge up the ability points, the ultimate points of your opponents. That being said, though, yeah, we're moving into this round. Gun round moving in for Underrated.
No, I'm saying good night because that shot, that was just disgusting.
It was nice. It was nice.
Who pushes up through the doors like that and then just right click, left click, S key, I'm out of there. You know, it's as simple as that. But he made it look so fresh, so clean. And considering it's the buy round, you just lost your Sova player. You just lost your information. And now pushing in will be very difficult. That's going to be Incred in a great position. They'll start to tag him down, but there goes the bounce off the molly. The shots will take him down ever so slightly, but Poise will be the one that comes out victorious. It's the 3v3 with the smokes now going down. Nano in a very interesting position, trying to push through the smokes, but now with the post plant, they need to make sure that they get in the correct position. Way2French, of course, now having to push in. The camera will give them a lot of information, but here it comes.
Yeah, double smoke, frost orb, wall up. Now finally it has all cooled down, and this gives a chance for Way2French to move forward. But an amazing crossfire set up for Ange, watching the angle. He's gonna bait out a player as he gets the first kill. Then they won't know that a stage is right behind. They don't even need him. Ange is gonna do all the work. He's going to do it all by himself, gets those 2 kills. Mill will be forced to fall back and save his weapon, and Underrated gets the round. Despite them losing a player early in that round, Simo, not getting information moving into the site, they were still able to capitalize thanks to the abilities of the smokes and the Sage Frost Orb to keep the defenders from moving out so quickly on a retake.
Okay, we're going to have a look at this shot. Of course, it is crazy. 4-Pack was doing, you know, that thing where he's like running on the side there. Was not good enough for him. But like, look at this crossfire. I am so impressed with Underrated. Yes, Way2French are in the lead. Yes, we are Canadian and very slightly biased. But Team Underrated are just really showing us how they can cook up. And to be honest, I'm very impressed with their strategies. They're keeping it fresh. They're not always in the same place twice. Way2French, yes, they are good gunners. They've got a background in CS, and they've had that background for many, many years. But Team Underrated, whether or not they come from CSGO or not, they can gun, but they've also got this 3D chess that they're playing, and they're playing it well.
Yeah, they definitely do come from that scene too, but nonetheless, when you're changing basically from what we think of as a pug coming into this, they're still looking very, very good. And one thing I wanted to note out, you saw how Sova, right, on the top of that boost, they got a long C with the operator looking down. That's what I was talking about. If there was a smoke, he only sees barely the top of the head. Now you get a wall boost, you could see everything going down, and that's how Incred got picked off so easily. Little things in terms of mechanics that could be utilized in terms of a Sage wall, now that it's been debuffed since the last patch, where the wall doesn't last as long when it's being shot at. It's a good way to use it on the offensive side, and then use a trapwire basically to get the information instead. And from you see this mini-map here, Simo, a lot of teams, especially Way2French, like to leave this B site open and play on that retake instead.
You're going to see the walls start to go up. It's Ange with the deep push in through the sewers. The camera helped him scout it out early. He'll back away. Nano, unfortunately, has to mourn his fallen comrade as he just checks out the scenario, and the scenario will not be a good one, of course. So we'll see now Way2French. They've got to deal with the retake. And Team Underrated, they are in a very interesting setup with the post plant. I love their ability to set up great crossfires. Nano smells that something's cooking, so he sends in a blast back, sees one around the corner. It's tagged a little bit, but it's the barrier orb that makes things that much more interesting. Trying to defend Jbzzz. Nano will fall as well. And it's just very difficult to push in. Very, very difficult. And they've got a great setup on the side of Underrated. Mil has to back away towards the spawn. And these rounds are ever so slightly slipping away from the defense.
Yeah, definitely. Melio able to save his Phantom as well, so that's two good things. Maybe they can drop weapons into the next if they're going to decide to force. Nano could buy again. Use does need a drop, so Mil could buy it for him. So they'll be looking good into this round here. But like I said, Way2French likes to play B-side open, and it seems as though teams are starting to understand that and are taking advantage of it, right? And it's very simple things too. It's not the first time that you see a team walk up, put a wall on either left side or right side of the site, get a plant, everybody run back towards the under window, and then win the fights. The difference, though, of how Team Underrated played it was that they still had lurkers towards the sewer side, towards C. So sewers, when you're talking about Ange, was able to get that win, get that fight, and then force any type of rotations that are just going to funnel from the front of the site where they already have the spike covered. So very nicely played by Team Underrated. Little changes that they do on such a basic strategy on execution in B.
We're seeing now how their setup will unfold. Of course, they are just catching up to their opposition 2 rounds away if you include this one from catching up and giving us a scoreline of 9-9. Of course, they need to get there first. Way2French just trying to keep the dream alive, to be quite honest, and they will need to defend up against a team that have the strategies, and I love the use of the stim beacon here. They're pushing it together. Now they've got control of the A site. Nano's going to take one down, but they'll still commit to that spike being planted. And yes, it will. Utility down, unfortunately, for the defense, starting to dwindle down by the piece. Now with that spike planted, they need to focus on the B team.
Oh, showstopper, though, as they spotted Campeki when he was tagged before, but unfortunately still cannot get the kill. We have to move quick right now for Brimstone on this rotation, and Kred has to hurry it up. There's 2 players playing towards the long. A trade happens towards the A site, but 4-pack is still focused towards the front. He gets tagged down to 27, still not killed. Don't know how that happens, but at least Kred wins the fight against Boys. He still stays alive. He gets the dink onto Mil, finally gets picked up, but Ange on a 2 versus 1. Now a 1 versus 1 behind the boxes, and sprays as well onto Mil, and clutches it for Team Underrated, 1 point away from tying things up.
Okay, but what are these crosses? Ange seems like Ange is making up corners that don't exist in this game. Riot recently released the nerf to 50s, putting in pots and plants and boxes and rugs and who else knows what else. And somehow Ange finds himself in these corners. And he just confuses the opposition. They're like, oh yeah, no, there's no way. He's got to be down sewers. I'm going to head down sewers. Check your corners. Check your 50s. Oh, man. I think Way2French are just relying so much on, okay, we've got the execute, utility throw it, let's just win on gunfights. You can't win like that anymore. It's not the beta. The game is starting to develop. Teams are starting to develop. And Team Underrated, who've got 5 ultimates, are ready to cook up.
Yeah, this is a chance for them to tie things up very fast. And one player that Way2French has to stop right now, should they want to try to win rounds, is exactly that Cypher, Ange, who was so close here with Melio just behind this wall at the spawn side. They'll double it up. I wonder if they're going to throw a recon arrow too. It's been thrown, but not in the corner. So this is going to give a good advantage here for Melio, who can catch some players off guard. When he sees them fall back, doesn't catch them, unfortunately. I know he's close to that trap wire. He's going to try to duck under it. But meanwhile, everybody's working towards long C, where you do have the Brimstone of Incred waiting there only with the Sheriff.
That's gonna be the run it back. Oh, wait. Did he just... what just happened? Did he pop run it back as he was about to die and the animation saved him? I'm going to need a replay. But still, Way2French, they will find 3 kills. Edge is going to be the only one that'll find one to refrag. It's down to the 2v3. We'll see now how they get that spike planted. It's in a very unfortunate position. Way2French have the visual of it. 10 seconds remain. Ange going to find one. Nano will trade it back. The paint gel is going to chip him down ever so slightly. A Sheriff and a Dream. Not enough time to get that spike planted. Ange needs to clutch things out. The shots are good, and Nano will escape. Ange will get that 4th kill, but it's a round on the board for Way2French. Give me that replay, or I quit.
But holy crap, that was so close, man. And yeah, that was amazing. He popped the run it back right on the top of the staircase. Okay, I've never seen that. Whoa. We're both speechless because I've never seen that before, and that was pretty sick. Little things.
That was like the most insane use of run it back I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, you could probably avoid dying to an operator like that. I mean, I don't think you'd use it like that, but wow. I mean, he died like 3 seconds later. But it was still really cool to see how that worked out.
It's a small thing though, right? You think you waste an ultimate with a run it back, but imagine they get the kill, they move into the site, and they were on a save round for Way2French. That's how he basically survived from that, right? It's very hard to survive a headshot if you're going to get shot close range by a Phantom or a Vandal. But imagine if that happened and it helped the team, for a team underrated, to overtake the C site after. It was a very well use of the run it back on that sense. Now, though, at least Way2French were on that pistol. They still won that round based on time. And Nano had barely any HP left on that 1 versus 1 against Ange. It was so close, but now this puts the money back in their bank with the execution being attempted from Team Underrated inside B.
Nice. Good, just RNG. Let me just throw this paint shell. Let me see what happens. Comes out with the kill. But it's a great kill nonetheless. 4v5 now for Way2French. They can at least feel a little bit more comfortable that, they need to know that also the spike is down. They managed to take out the spike carrier. And now they've got a great angle. Ange, though, with these flanks. Melio had a great cross. Neural Theft going to spot out who else is remaining. And knows now that they are hovering around that B site. Great flank here prepared from Incred. Nano with 1, Nano with 2, and the 3rd for Pack will answer back. But really, at what cost? It is now down to the 1v3, and he's just going to save that operator.
Yeah, even a res on top of that too, so they're going to keep another gun. So 4 players alive at the end of the round. And the thing that's good here for Way2French is that they're starting to see that Underrated are playing the rounds very, very, very slowly. And when they try to do these late round executions and they're able to take down the spike carrier at that point, nobody's there to support, nobody's there to move forward to try to pick up the spike either.
I have to say, it does feel like Way2French have found their momentum a little bit. They've got that horse running at full speed, but Team Underrated, they just have these little finer nuances that are, in my opinion, if I was Way2French, I'd be pissed. I'd be so upset. I'd be tilted. I'd be triggered. I would be all of that, all of the above. But that means that they're playing good Valorant. This is a team that I'm very excited to see because, NA gets a lot of flack, in a game like CS for not being one of the best regions. And when we have teams like Team Underrated bringing in hot, fresh ideas, I like it. I like to see it. Nano going to find one on the 4-pack, and he's going to have to back away as there's 2 there to try to get the refrag.
Yeah, I think his gun was sticking out. That's how Nano was able to get that wall bang, at least to get the res up at the same time, too. So back to a 5-on-5, but again, it's been 45 seconds wasted, and they still haven't really committed anywhere right now for Underrated. At least they stay as a team, but they're still juggling around. You see the spike heading towards the garage. I don't know what to do. They're falling back towards C, but Incred is actually down at that bottom there. So you could expect that stack happening right now towards this B side for Use and for Nano. It's not going to look that easy for Team Underrated to take this B side.
Yeah, but look, he's got the showstopper, so he might as well use it. Unfortunately for him, it's a great use of the Molotov to try to push him back a little bit. They'll set up a little bit of a cross. Still, the spike's not down yet, guys. The spike needs to go down. 20 seconds left. Finally, someone will get that down. Recon Bolt will spot out a couple of those members. And, in my opinion, if I'm Way2French, why didn't you stop that? You had so much utility. You had so many opportunities there. And then you get Incred with the long flank, and Ange is the one that stops it. This is not a good round for Way2French, but Nano will find one. That's the Hunter's Fury that's going to find. What is happening? Nano with 4, and it's the defense that get the defuse.
Yeah, stuck it right away as soon as... So they threw a wall up. It got instantly broken. A Hunter's Fury came out, and because the Hunter's Fury came out, nobody else from the attacker side really came out to try to help. So Nano just stood there, saw 2 people peek, killed instantly the first 2 players at the bottom of the staircase, but one was still throwing his Hunter's Fury, and the other one was still washing flank. So that gave a chance there for the defuse to come through with 3 guys alive. Even if the Hunter's Fury tagged onto one, it was probably halfway. It was chaotic, but it was Way2French's Nano for 4 kills on that round. Saved it for that team.
You know, when things are chaotic, when things are crazy, when things are a little spicy, I think Way2French have that number. It really bodes down to that Puggy style. When things are crazy, you don't know what's going on, what angles do you cover, the communication's a mess. Way2French have those types of rounds on lock, but underrated, based on how I've felt they've been playing, they try to keep it very controlled. They know exactly what angles are covered, know exactly where the opposition is and isn't. And this is a great example here. And just consistently found himself very deep behind, no, I wouldn't say behind enemy lines, but in a position that the defense probably don't expect.
Definitely. Lurker role, but he's going to have... It's going to be a fake, because you have the Silva heading up there as well. Probably going to throw a recon arrow, and you see it from that minimap. Incred walked out of C, went forward towards B. They're calling for smokes towards that C garage and also towards logs. So they are moving in, and it's only use. And because of that, and he pushed everybody out from that fake, he's going to have to wait for his teammates to come through. But Shanks pulls the mistake to try to jump through the smoke, pays the price as Hughes gets the headshot. The spike's going to get planted no matter what. Now spam through the smoke. You should have moved away a long time ago. Trade after trade, but the spike at least is down on a 3 versus 3, Simo.
Yeah, it's Incred that is trying to get that refrag. Mill takes out Poised, has the operator, and then in this scenario, this is where you want the operator. Has to go pick it back up. Now going to be looking down on the opposite side. It's 4-pack with an operator of his own. All he needs is the little vision of the spike. Gets a face full of lead from Mill down to the 1v1 Ange. Great use of the cyber cage to keep things alive. Off to the side he goes. The quick shot's not good. Has to defuse the spike. Ange just needs to stall for time. The jump shot is not going to work out. Oh, baby. What a shot from Ange.
First time didn't work. The second time will work at least. A nice jump burst of the classic in the face of the Silva. Mill falls down. Underrated stays alive. 3 rounds to bring us into sudden death. But it's still looking to possibly be 12-10. There's no money right now in the bank for Way2French. They only have a shorty, 3 sheriffs, and probably a classic from Mill, so he could keep an operator into that next round. So yes, the first shot wasn't a headshot, but at least it did connect, as you saw from that replay. But the second one was beautiful. Greatly played on that 1 versus 1 by Ange through that cyber cage, and keeps underrated alive in another round.
Yeah, I mean, they have a little bit of a buffer. They've got 3 rounds here. Way2French, all they need to do is not crack under the pressure. They've already sent a lot of resources in through the courtyard. It is Team underrated that find themselves in a position that have control of the site. The wall gives them the sightline advantage. They'll get the wall up through connector. And now, as you see those shots coming through, they'll try to break it through. But it's Ange, just constantly in a position that is a little bit more advanced, a little bit more forward than what people may be used to. And they'll actually send 3 towards Ange. He needs to get into a position where he can deal with this. Does not hear them coming. They'll use the buddy system. Tripwire spots 1. The shots are good. Finds that one. Another spray. It's 3 beautiful kills for Ange. On the opposite side, it's Nano trying to get the job done. But it's Kanpiki that'll get 2 quick kills. Getting so close to that tie up here, but still 2 rounds before they catch up.
Definitely. In this round here, looks like we're not going to have an operator for Mill. He's going to go with the Vandal. They have 2 ultimates to work with. 2 big ones, actually. And then we have 3 on the attacker side. Ange, so far, yes, they're still losing, but Ange is the one that's basically the glue that's keeping the team together in this game, trying to catch up in the sudden death overtime. So yeah, where we're talking about ultimates. So we have a run it back and a brimstone ult with the orbital strike and a resurrection. So they're still looking very, very good to even tie things up to a sudden death if they don't need to use this into this round. What do I mean by that? Well, if they get the early picks like they're able to versus Way2French into this round, that's where you won't need it and use it into a crucial last round to bring this into sudden death where everything is reset once again.
We are seeing the push here, prepared from underrated, looking towards A. They've got a little bit of utility set up. Ange is hoping to lead that charge, but they'll start to pull off here. Unfortunately for them, they don't feel like it's worth it. Shank's going to try to find a couple of great entry frags. It's the spray, the preemptive spray through the flash that'll keep the Cypher player alive. Ange now going to try to lead that charge in towards B. Nano waiting on the opposite side. A couple of those blast pack shells going to be sent through. Still has the showstopper. Now they'll actually have to back away as Milan will find one with the Hunter's Fury. That spike will get picked up, but are they going to commit to B or will they back off?
Well, so far the Hunter's Fury did its job. Like I said, 2 crucial ultimates that they needed. Now they forced the players back towards the seaside. Use is kind of out of position, but finally inside the site. As he peeks through, he wins the fight against Poise. Shanks is trying to turn the corner, finally trades it out. So the seaside is open and just still lurking. They're a 1-minute disadvantage for Team Underrated. They'll get the spike down, and a showstopper does not connect.
Oh, so close. Almost had that shot there. The cape from the Sova is going to get caught out. A couple of kills already traded. Ange from the flank, always from the flank. Always. Down to the 2v2. They need to get that spike defused. The shots aren't good. The ADS isn't good from Ange. One more remain. It shakes with 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that spike being exploded will be, well, it doesn't actually explode, but they are keeping it so competitive with Way2French.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about, right? They only used a run it back, but the run it back gave enough information that kept Melio inside that A site. Now they have an orbital strike and a res for this last round. Money is not looking good at all for Way2French. Things are looking very good for Underrated to move this into sudden death. Small armor is being purchased as well for the French-Canadian team. They only have, well, they have an orbital strike on their end as well. We'll see if they can make it work.
Team Underrated looking for new and innovative ways to break down the armor that is Way2French, and they've done so successfully. We could see their fighting spirit really show with how they've been capable of keeping this best of 3 alive. And it's only map 1, Van Silly. Yeah. It's only map 1. Still waiting for any early peaks from Way2French, I believe, giving the defense the opportunity to play into them and maybe create some picks. I don't really feel like they've got an operator in play. I mean, I could be wrong, but it doesn't look like it. So maybe that's what's causing them to play a little bit closer. And that makes me lie, sorry, as 4-pack as an operator. But still, he's nowhere near the rest of the group to push down C.
But you see, it's going to be another 1-versus-1 fight towards the A side, keeping Melio there between Ange, and then the execution is starting to come towards the C side. So we have the Recon Arrow to come out, Brimstone Ultimate to come down. Kenpeki, though, still gets the opener onto use, who had Frost Orbs in his hands once again. But Incred is still alive. Shanks is at the logs. This could be big right now for Incred. No, he gets picked off by Kenpeki. Unfortunately, we are getting so much closer to a sudden death right now. Oh. Sato charge being thrown, connects onto Kenpeki. Now we have a 3-on-2, but they still have the orbital strike.
Yeah, the jiggle peek is good, so the first shot doesn't connect. The ADS will get the job done, and Nano, all up to him. It's the 1v2. The Molotov is the most scariest thing that he's ever seen in the world. Had to look at it for a couple of seconds. The orbital strike is the icing on the cake. And 12-12, we are going to overtime, all up to this last and final round. Who is going to take it? Of course, ultimate points reset. I think it gives you half. So we'll see some with 3. I think they all have 3 actually, or some have 4 because of 7.
Some have 4. Yeah.
We're seeing an operator from Mil, and so they're still trying to use that, keep it competitive, but see how this pans out.
Yeah, operator, small armor at the same time too. If you're looking at the bottom right of your screen, ladies and gentlemen, it is 3:49 a.m. in European time, and that's where our production team is from. So big shout out to them. As Macaque was saying, oh, hopefully it's going to be fast games so we could go to bed. I'm like, don't think too quickly, because Team Underrated and Way2French, I think, is going to go to distance. So far, we are going to the distance in this first map. Possibly, we're going to go to distance into all 3 maps as well. So let's see what's going to happen here as Ange, the key player for Team Underrated, is looking to open things up once again inside the sewers.
Emil has an angle towards the window. Like you said, Ange trying to gather information, but there's a lot of utility here. Emilio, the anchor, look how far back he's playing, showing a lot of respect to the attacker side, and the camera will spot things out. The tripwire as well, going to slow him down. A lot of utility used to try to stop the push forward, and they'll start to funnel on in. The rest of Way2French, though, have to make sure that they are a little bit more careful as they are now forced into the retake. However, Nano, he's there ready with the flank. Unfortunately for him, the flanks haven't worked out for Way2French. Sees one coming through, and it'll work out this time. Pui fires around the corner. Ange now sent to get that cleanup duty in the process, and around the corner Nano goes. Still looking for those pesky players that are hiding in the corners. However, it is Way2French that are pushing in from the opposite side. Ange has to go deal with them, and does so. Now it's the 1v1. Ange versus Nano. All up for map number 1. Nano's going to be coming in through the cyber cage. Ange in a great position to reposition. With that spike ticking down, Ange knows that he has won, knows that he's on the advantage here. The defusel's going to start to come through, and the shot's good from Nano, but does he have time? No, he does not. 1 second and 89 milliseconds is the difference between these two teams. Can you believe that, Van Silly? This is a best of 3 that we have right here.
Dude, like I said, Ange, look at that. 35 kills in this matchup, Simo. 35! At 368 combat score, he solely was carrying that team in his backpack. I got to commend him for sure. Multiple kills when I was saying holding areas, flank situations, and even clutch situations. And I don't know, he's just did everything so well for the team right now to help them get this victory. Because they were like, what, 3-4 rounds away? It was like 12 to 9, 12 to 8 or something like that. And they were able to come back just by the gameplay of Ange. I got to commend him for that one.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at another tournament just to see where this guy's played. These guys played with Gangsta from Immortals. He's played with Lex. He's played with Sam. Like, this guy is no sleeper. And I am quite impressed with Ange. His performance, his ability to be in these impeccable scenarios. And not to mention, we saw one of the craziest Phoenix run-it-backs that we've ever seen. And to be quite honest, I've been thinking about it still. I just have a feeling, I mean, we might see it here in this highlight reel, but I have a feeling that he might have just pushed up towards the cubby and used it at the exact time that someone shot him in the head, and he survived the bullet. But I don't think he noticed that. Like, I don't think he was trying to avoid the damage from the cubby. I think, like right here, like I think he used it because he wanted to push in towards the site, but little did he know, he just was denied the run it back. But still, now we know that you can, you know, Keanu Reeves that, that type of thing, you know?
Yeah, no, it's definitely amazing to see, and maybe it could have been a mistake, but from that mistake, it's definitely going to open up some doors on things that you can learn as the agent, as a main. Hopefully, Drone is going to watch somehow the VODs that it's going to be uploaded on GLL on YouTube next week, and he can be like, oh, I didn't know we could do that, and then he's going to start using it for TSM.
Yeah, I mean, while I feel innately accidental, I still think that that was one of the most craziest things I've seen in NA. That there. I mean, like, you talk about a player like Wardell, you talk about a player like Brax, you talk about all these high-scale players, but that, ladies and gentlemen, was the craziest thing I've ever seen in NA Valorant.
Well, if not crazy as the first map, right? We went all to the distance to sudden death. It came down to a 1 versus 1. It came down to milliseconds on the defuse. And it's going to be Underrated that takes the upper hand. And that is only map 1. We still have map 2 that's coming up. And apparently, the first map was actually chosen here by Way2French. So Way2French chose Haven. They lost this one. We're going to go into Bind, where we've still seen some success of Way2French on that map. But if it's a map from Team Underrated, and they've lost the map pick on Haven for Way2French, I'd be sweating. I'd be needing that break. So speaking of break, we're going to take that. And when we come back, we'll resume with the second map and its best out of 3 semifinals for the Valorant Trovo Challenge. Welcome back to the Valorant Trovo Challenge. You see the schedule so far. 1-0 for Team Underrated versus Way2French. 4 maps or 4 rounds coming back to bring this into sudden death, winning it 13-12 on Way2French's map pick. We're now going to move on to Bind, where it's Team Underrated's map pick. But Underrated definitely don't look like a dark horse anymore in this matchup.
Yeah, I don't think they look like a dark horse either. Maybe look more a little bit of like a dark horse. I think that's the correct.
I think that's the one. I think that's the one.
Yeah, that might be the one. That might be a one. When Team Underrated did go to Bind, they played Brimstone, Raze, Sage, Sova, and Cypher. Shanks, we saw him play the Phoenix. Yesterday, he played Raze and Omen. So flexibility in the pool there. Of course, nolpenki will continue to play Sage. 4-pack on the Sova, Ange on the Cypher. Poised has seen play with Brimstone and Breach. And the reason why I'm touching on agent selection is because when you have something that you want to execute on, especially when it comes to a map like Bind, what if you want double smokes? What if you want some flashes? Like what is it that you specifically want? And for the side of Shanks, he's got a really deep pool. And we'll see how he's able to use that pool in this second map.
Yeah, and I think I've seen, even on the European side of this Trovo Challenge, where some teams even went stageless on Bind. Could be wrong. I'll have to recheck the VODs. But it's interesting to see that it's coming outside of Ascent now, where teams are trying different comps, where they're trying to eliminate the stage. And I get it. At some sense, some people don't believe in the heals, that you don't really need it. It goes down to the basics and the mechanics of the movements. And when you have 1 HP, as long as you're able to land that headshot with the Vandal, it's all you need, right? So if you're confident in that type of play, and you're playing Sage's comps, and you're like, okay, well, maybe we're going to play a little bit more passively. Maybe we're going to play better angles. We're going to make them gamble more on 50-50s where we have the better off angle on that as well. It changes the meta of the positioning of where players could be throughout the map too. So I'm really looking forward to the future of what Valorant holds. And I think it's going to be ever so changing. I don't think we're going to ever see anything that's going to be set now, especially due to the fact that when you're listening to Riot, I think they're coming out with 6 agents a year now. So yeah. It's going to change a lot of the landscape of the game.
And I mean, quite honestly, the moment that we have another map, we can take things to actual best of 5s. I've seen some tournaments, there's a little something in my eye.
Are you crying that there's no Sage?
Yeah.
Sage could be gone.
We have seen some tournaments, they'll do winner's advantage and double elim. And there's just no 5th map. They'll just give one team a map advantage, and then they'll play out the other 4. And so once we get that 5th map, it'll really change the way that the game is played. With an actual, I feel like more correct map veto to have 5 maps, teams are going to start to, similar to a game like CS, or maybe even similar to a game like Overwatch. There's maps that teams prefer and maps that teams are just like,
But definitely.
Just give up. I just don't want to play that map.
Yeah, I mean, because the deeper the map pool is, right, when you're looking at it, and I'm going to use the example as much as Counter-Strike as it is for Rainbow Six, as it is for example, Overwatch League, when you have multiple maps that you can work with and you have a veto system, is that, yes, there's more maps that are coming out. Some teams will hop onto the bandwagon right away to try to learn it and try to upset some teams so they can move forward into the bracket as fast as possible and get their name known, get their name out. And we've seen that very much with, for example, Vertigo. And then you have some maps that are being pulled out so they could get reworked. They introduce some new maps, kind of like what they did with, for example, Oregon and Rainbow Six. So that actually gives, and not only on top of that, the schedule in terms of pro play, you basically have competitions happening almost every single 2 weeks or every single month. So the time of preparation it takes for you to remain a top team, you won't have time to study, to practice the other maps. So sometimes it becomes auto vetoes where other teams could use it to their advantage and then work on other maps that teams are not ready for. And then they could try to go for this upset. And then later on, within like 2-3 years, maybe even 10 years throughout this game with Valorant, because it's going to last at least 10 years like League of Legends, and League of Legends is only one map. That's crazy how it still goes on, right? So it's crazy now that you have new maps and new agents on top of that with Valorant that's going to keep the spice up for this game. But that's why, like I said, it's going to take many, many, many years until we actually figure out what's a real core and what's a real strategy for a certain map on this game or in this game.
I feel like this is just turning into our podcast now. This is no longer the Trovo Challenge. We're just talking about the future of Valorant here. You know,
let's just tag it to our podcast channel.
Yeah, Super Cakes is in the chat. She's giving us information, insider information. No,
awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are very well underway now to map number 2. It'll be Bind, as we alluded to earlier on. Way2French will kick us off on the defense, and Team Underrated will attack. Standard agent selection for Way2French, but we are now seeing the Raze in play, and that is, of course, Shanks on it. No longer having that Phoenix with the curveball. We'll see if that's going to be important for them or not.
That's right. It's going to be all 4 of them. Make that 4 out of 5. Getting ready to push down towards short A. You do have a lurk. Once again, surprise, surprise. It's probably Ange as the Cypher inside the showers. But a nice volley coming in from Incred. That's going to slow things down. But through the smoke and a wall bang, Mill falls down. And we're still trying to move in for the spike plant.
Yeah, shot's good here from Incred. He'll take down Shanks. The paint shells, of course, will take him down ever so slightly. They'll get that spike down, but this is a very awkward retake for Way2French. They were already on the site. I mean, they've been on the site since the spike's been planted. So divide and conquer seems to be the approach. They'll send a couple through U-Haul, but the rest will set up behind the truck, break down that wall, and they'll start to push in. Kentucky in a great position, gets spotted out early. Jbzzz is going to find one. Recon Bolt from 4-pack, but he gets a face full of ice from the barrier orb, has to back away. Ange, of course, just doing what he does best, but that spike is determined to be defused, and Way2French will get exactly that with 2 members remaining.
This is like the only time where walls could be so good for this game of Valorant as a stage. The piss around is the most important ability, or sorry, the barrier wall is the most important ability on pistol round right now in the game as a stage, right? You saw that wall come up, 2 or 3 guys are trying to shoot it down. It took a while for it to break, which had to force Ange out of position. Now he's trying to play that lurk role in the end, playing through the cyber cage. Nano beats him, and with that was just easier for Way2French to come in for the defuse. So nicely played there for where are we still on screen? So we just saw me like trip over while I'm talking. That's great. That's great. Nonetheless, though, I gotta say it was a great round, great pistol for Way2French, and we're moving into the second round here, where we are trying to. I thought we were trying to contest towards that orb, but that wall, I don't know if they're gonna be able to walk through that. But the save round still comes in no matter what for the attackers.
At the end of the day, they are just in a very strange position now. It's the second round. They don't really have the economy. A couple bought up towards Ghosts and probably a couple of others stuck with the Classics. So they need to get into a little bit of a scrap here with Way2French. Excuse me. And they'll do that towards B. Of course, Ange playing that lurking role, constantly being a nuisance on the other side, and maybe even baiting utility if he's capable of doing that. But so far, Team Underrated, they're setting up. But that setup seems to be like they didn't get the information they wanted, and Ange has gotten a lot more, and so they'll just double back over towards him.
Yeah, but they'll finally get spotted here, so who knows if it's going to be too late for them to take over this A side now, with especially Mill spotting him from that triple stack at the green boxes. You still have Melio playing towards you, and they are still going to commit this. So the camera's going to come out. That's going to get the cue right now that they are pushing forward, and it's going to be 4 players. At least he takes one down with them before he falls, and they throw the paint shells to force Mill out of position. Nano's going to bank one himself right onto the site, but too late to deny the plant.
Listen, at the end of the day, it's just a Zerg rush. They just pushed in as a team, trade the kills where they need. Nano's going to find one. Unfortunately, doubles back, looks back, and it's 4-pack that'll take him down. Incred somehow finds 2. Now it's the 1v1. The slow orb thrown at the worst possible time. And it's Incred winning yet another round for Way2French. But think about the repercussions of that round. Underrated, they'll walk away with assault rifles galore, maybe even an operator if they so choose. And to be quite honest, like I don't really think they should on a map like Bind, especially on attack. But Way2French, their buy is going to be very undesirable because they are only left with Incred, who's got himself a Spectre, as we saw him style with it. And look at it. They have, I mean, they've got some weapons, but it's definitely not the most ideal buy that they would have preferred. The armor's not quite there. And Nano has to double down to a Spectre, so it's not ideal, and they're really forcing up into an attacker that is fully kitted out.
Yeah, at least one thing that's good, though, from Nano's position, he is playing the type of player that plays inside hookah a lot. So having a Spectre inside those corners, it's still not bad. Rapid pace firing, close to the angles. Paint chills coming in from Shanks, though, that's going to force him out of position. He stays on top of the boxes. At least Shanks is going to see him coming from that, so he can hold that angle. But what I'm trying to say is from that weapon, from that gun, easy right there to get the kill. I like that play. Look at that. The Owl drone to come out to attack his opponent. Shanks thinks that it's going to be Nano that peeks out, but it's actually Use on the other side with a Vandal to pick him off. So despite this buy, this type of map, in terms of bind, allows SMGs to still be very viable because you can get so many close range, close quarter combats.
We are seeing the attackers start to pull away here. Fortunately, B was not really working out for them, and they'll start to pull back. Ange can be leading the charge towards A. He finds out that there's no one on the other side. It's Emilio, and a face full of ammo is what Ange receives. Emilio backing away through the U-Haul, but the rest of the team still devoted towards this push towards A. Poised in position, walking ever so slightly. The headshot's clean onto Mil. They'll get that spike down, and the rest of the team now from Way2French. Personally feel like a lot of them should have rotated earlier on, but now they'll get that rotate and have to retake the site.
Yeah, we could talk about that as soon as this action finishes, but you know what? Let's talk about it now. Because it's a 1 versus 1 by the U, it's going to be Ange that loses the fight. They still think Ange plays that lurker, right? Orbital Strike's going to come out towards U. Use is going to get 2 kills of his own. Poise gets 2 kills of his own. And now it's a 1 versus 1. And they still have the Orbital Strike here from Poise. And Cred knows that it's close. Orbital Strike to come out. Forced out of position as Poise wins that and clutches that 1 versus 1 to add up to a tally of a 4K for the round for Team Underrated. And sorry, Simo, just wanted to finish that one there. So Ange loses that fight, right? They think that Ange is usually that lurker. They kill him. So he falls back, speaking about Milio, so he can get a heal. And that's why they're like, okay, we're not going to rotate anybody yet because we don't have more information with the exception of the lurker dying. So the Mill tried to peek out from you as the Sova and spotted 3 guys, and everybody's out of position on a retake because of that. So a nice play, just because they've been respecting Ange so much as the lurker since the first map.
Sounds good to me. I believe it. I'm on the same page. Let's go. I like that. That's some good
Appreciate it.
We are seeing the next round underway, and Way2French don't really have the weaponry. Of course, they forced up, and as a result, Team Underrated won that round, and quite might I add, brilliant mastermind, Orbital striking the site, then hiding in a pocket where Incred just could not, like, there's just too many corners to check once he got pushed out from that spike site. Now, moving on to the actual round at hand, it is Way2French that are playing a little bit closer, since I think a couple of them have some shorties and are hoping to do some damage at a closer distance, but not everybody, of course. We're seeing a Sheriff here for Jbzzz, a good crossfire for whoever walks in, but Team Underrated, they've got the weaponry to tango here, and they're going to look like B was where they want to go.
Yeah, and you already have control of the garden pretty much. So close to there, looking for the execution. Just around the corner on the left side, they're going to check that 50. So Shanks is going to be able to take down Incred. They still have a couple of guys, but they put the wall up, so Mill is stuck behind. Oh my god, the elbow. Nice shot there from Poise. Jumping up, instant headshot onto Use. So it's just 2 players remaining, make that only 1. Those one that was stuck from that wall inside you. They're going to hunt him down on top of that too. Mill at least gets a dinked, but that's it.
Flawless round. I mean, at the end of the day, of course, it is the eco here for Way2French. You can't expect them to do a lot, but they've got Sheriffs. They had some opportunities to do some damage from a distance or even medium range as well. They'll force up here. They've got finally the credits to buy, but on the opposite side, Team Underrated, they are starting to stack up the credits of their own. Operator in play for 4-pack, and to be quite honest, like, we've seen what he can do with it. We've seen what the man is capable of. Ange, however, don't feel like this is his map to really cook up. So far, hasn't really been putting on the performance that we expect him to. But at the end of the day, when you're the entry, you gamble the 50-50. You live and get 2 kills, or you die and get 0. So Ange has been on the latter half, but we'll see if he's able to put a couple more here on the board as the rounds continue. continue to layer on.
Yeah, so the owl drone comes out from the teleporter. They're going to spot Shanks at least from the market sign, but not more information than that. So we're going to try to counter it on the attacker side to clear out A. And this is what I like. I've talked about this so many times here, and small things as well, too. Melio holding that sight with the camera, playing that triple stack. He loves that spot. People should expect that usually. But I like the fact that you fly the owl drone low, so you have to break the trap wire, too. Now from this overhead, you see that they spot 2 players, and 4 of them are looking to execute towards A. Can they hold it? So far, yes, they can with Mill with the first kill.
I really like the use. Oh, baby! That's like Shaquille O'Neal dunking on a 5-year-old child, man. He just threw the air, bomb, through the hoop, and just on the kid. Oh, man. Still Way2French have to retake the site. Just because the dunking process is over doesn't mean the round is over. Shank's going to find Nano. And it's all down to the... Oh, they actually get the res as well. Make it 3v4. So they'll still try to push in towards U-Haul. Incred pinching ever so slightly. The swing isn't good. Poised with 1. Poised with 2. And Jbzzz, as he's been revealed by the Recon Bolt, has to back away. Gets 1 on the exit. That's going to be the second. Potentially, it's Ange that'll deny that second. And another round on the board for Team Underrated. Really like how they played that. And one more thing before I pass it back. One more thing. The stim beacon usage. When was the last time you saw someone in NA use a stim beacon? It's a piece of utility. It's 100 credits. Just use it. They stim up and they push in towards U-Haul. You know it's close quarters. You know it's close quarters. Who wins in close quarters? Higher rate of fire. You just spray and hope for the best. Of course, you can land your shots, you can get headshots, whatever, but you drop the stim and you're more confident pushing through.
Yeah, and it's simple things as to why you see a bunch of attackers wielding Phantoms instead, too. Because a high fire rate with the Vandal could seem a little off sometimes, though, but we could talk about it in a bit. 2 kills coming in for the defender side on an eco, a heal coming up as well, but then it's starting to get tied up as 4-Pack gets the operator onto Nano. So a 3 versus 3, they still have a res on top of that, too. So that's where they're playing very close to the bodies that have fallen down early towards his mid side. But as the defenders are falling back, they'll be able to get this res and then regain the advantage, and then things are going to get back to normal because they're still facing only against pistols. I don't think that Way2French was able to salvage any weapons out of that.
Still the 3v3, though, so for Team Underrated, looks like they're biding their time a little bit. A couple of shots are what ended up being the difference maker in the market. We saw 2 go down for both sides. And they'll still now try to inch their way towards B. I like how patient they've been playing. I like how they have just been biding their time, and now they'll regain control ever so slightly. The resurrection comes through. 4v3. 20 seconds left on the clock. You have to imagine it's going to be an A hit. The only member that's going to be there is the Cypher player, Melio, now having to back away here as that there's a lot of utility being used. Crouches right underneath the Recon Bolt and makes sure that no one sees him. So now behind Tetris, he's going to make those blocks fit in his favor as they don't know exactly where he is, assuming, okay, they're coming from spawn or they're coming from market. But do they expect showers? The only person on the team that would expect showers is Ange, and he doesn't even expect it. So we'll see how this retake happens, but so far, he just gave away his position.
Yeah, I guess they were able to salvage that Phantom after that, too. The wall was basically the only thing that kept them from getting any picks going on there as they were executing with 20 seconds left. We're trying to get wall bangs. We're trying to save the player behind the box as well, and that was the Sova. He still manages to stay alive. Frost Orb, he's trying to waste as much money as he can, and Yus is doing a great job as that. He gets the first kill onto Poise. Everybody has to run back. Finally, we stay safe for the other 3 players. Decent eco there. 3 kills, make that even 4 on top of that because of that res, and he managed to salvage a Phantom. I'll take that.
So when it comes to a map like Bind, we've talked at length with varying casters from the bottom of the barrel to the Golden Boys and the Puckets. Bind is a 50-50 map. You know,
where are you talking about bottom of the barrel, dude?
No, I'm saying we've talked to casters from the bottom of the barrel. Doesn't mean we're in the barrel, Van Silly. Come on, get your head out of the barrel and come talk to me. Hey, okay, so we've talked about how a map like Ascent can be attacker-sided, split. has been defender-sided in the past, has started to give a little life back to the offense. Whatever. Bind is playstyle favor. So it doesn't matter if you prefer defense or attack. It's dependent on your playstyle. Of course, I've heard a couple of people still say that it is a little defender-sided, but I still feel like it's the closest thing to 50-50 that we got. And so as a result, it's all about how you play. And in my opinion, Team Underrated, because they've got these little, you know, weird nuances that Way2French have just not really adapted to, that might be the difference maker. And they just might close this out 2-0 right here, right now.
Yeah, and it's little nuances coming out from such a basic strategy on this map, for example. How many times have they pushed 4 guys down short A, 1 guy's inside the shower, and they still win these rounds? Now at least, though, we're trying to change things over for Way2French. Hunter's Fury to come out. He does get a tag. Nano gets a headshot onto Poise. We force the teleporters into A, but the spike is down towards B. So they did try to run away from the Hunter's Fury, and because of that, they got caught off guard from an aggressive push by Nano. A great play. But look at that. Everybody's rotated towards this A side. I don't think they have an idea that they actually killed the spike carrier, I guess.
I mean, I think they would have gotten that notification regardless. Mil.
Yeah, I guess so.
Will take down 4-pack. 7 seconds remaining. Kanpeki is going to hold on to that Phantom with the bunny skin, which is, in my opinion, my top 2 favorite Phantom skins. The other, of course, is the Avalanche one. Makes me feel like I'm playing Buck from Rainbow Six Siege for some reason. I don't know why. It just makes me feel frosty, and I like that. I like that. But
yo, the Prism is nice too, man.
Yeah, but I feel like everyone and their mother has that, and I want to be a little different than people's mothers. You know, I wanna fit in with the swag. You know, that bunny is crispy. You know, that bunny looks cool. And
not gonna lie, I bought pretty much all the skins on the Phantom so far.
The Avalanche one, it's like got this like crystal vibe, and the crystals are like reflecting in the sun. It's dope.
Wait, maybe I don't have it.
Well, you know what Ange doesn't have is a spot in this round specifically. He's gonna get taken up right now. The operator is officially online for Way2French. Owl Drone going to be coming through. They'll, like you said, have a quick kiss and find their way out. But it's Team Underrated that, in my opinion, is just like, we've been hyping them up. They've got these finer nuances in their play. It's like they've just halted. Is it the economy that Way2French is now finally comfortable, or have they found a way to deal with these attacks?
It's just continuous super slow plays right now for them, but it seems to be working still, right? An orbital strike to try to clear out you. We finally have the executions starting to come in, but nobody's rotated yet from Way2French, so this could still be a very winnable round right now for Underrated, with the exception of Bill going with the hat trick now. Make that a 4K with the operator, looking for the ace. Last one is stuck here towards short A with only 30 seconds left. It's 4-pack with the operator, forced to fall back, and he's looking to get flanked as well by Melio. But they're not hunting him down. And Mill is going to stay inside the showers. He's going to let his team, not to be selfish out of that, they just want the round. So as he's falling back right now, Recon Arrow and Melio waits there at the market, and Way2French ties it up 4-4.
They want that 1800. They're gunning for it. You know, they want that guarantee. Yeah. And I just have to say, if I were Team Underrated, I would not want to peek down A short ever again. You know, I'm gonna take a quick break from that. Emil is just, you know, something else with the operator this time around. Something's changed. You know, in that time, that 5-minute break they had, he had like, I don't know, a Rice Krispie square or something. He's just jacked up now, and his play has really improved. And this is something that I touched on a little bit earlier on. If you're an operator player, you don't go to the same place twice. You try to keep it a little bit ambiguous and keep things a little bit more interesting for your opposition. I mean, more so just interesting for him, anticipating where is the herd going to go. And the cattle seem to be moving towards B this time around. So we'll see how that's going to end up panning out. B did not work out last time. The Hunter's Fury was there to stop them. They don't have the Hunter's Fury this time, but they do have a showstopper, and it's just as good if used in the correct position.
Let's see if that will be the case. He does have it propped up under that window, so for fast execution, he could actually rocket it very quickly. And here it comes right now. Nano's going to try to watch that flank first. His location's revealed. He still gets the headshot to Shanks, and here we go. The showstopper right at the feet of nolpenki drops the spike. And now we have only 2 remaining inside that site, looking for some cover, looking to pick up the spike. They finally do so as 4-pack is going to hide safely inside the tin to try to get the plant. Poised there with them, eats a shock dart, still manages to make Melio eat a bullet though, and now we have a 2-on-3.
Wow. I mean, I'm not really sure what's happening here because it's just pandemonium on the site. We are seeing 4-pack try to keep things a little bit more competitive. He's going to try to stay alive. The shots are good. They're playing wing around Rosie, but it's the tuna can that ends up not boding well for 4-pack in cred with 3 beautiful kills. Starting the round lead here for Way2French, not something that they had ever at any point in this map specifically. And so couple more rounds remaining in the half, 3 including this one. We'll see how they decide to bounce back. And quite honestly, when I see teams swap at the half, I see a completely different story. I mean, it's pretty evident when you see it during an attacker or a defender-sided map. But on a map like Bind, you can still see it just based on the play style of the team. Maybe they just really like defense. Doesn't mean this is a defense-sided map. Maybe they just really like defense. And so we've seen Ange play in positions like that where he can auto flank, you know, as a great defensive lineman. But team underrated, playing a little bit more respectively this time around. And they have a little bit of a 5-point spread across the map.
Still a little bit unlucky there on that 2 versus 1. I think the reason why 4-pack lost that battle was simply because he ran out of bullets. Because he was crisp, actually, on everybody trying to rotate back and getting that kill and actually playing that spike very, very well. Unfortunate there, but at the end of the day, it's still a round lead for Way2French, in the lead by 1. 3 more rounds to go in this first half. We do have an orbital strike for the defenders, a showstopper for the attackers, and a neural theft as well for Team Underrated as the attack. And they're looking to split up once again towards this A site, but a little bit more differently. It's going to be Ange trying to lead the charge towards short, but he gets picked off while we're waiting for Mill, connects up to Poise. They're going to probably try to do the pixel wall for the plant. Shanks trades it out. There's that wall that comes up, but you still having Cred alive inside you. He does get the kill. Melio towards short. Only 1 more to go inside the showers, and it's going to be the showstopper still alive. And actually, I like it. He picks up the orb to prevent anybody else from pick. Okay, he's just baiting it. I thought he was trying to pick it away so nobody picks it up. But he's going to come back into A with 23 seconds left on the clock.
That'd actually be dope if it overspilled into the next set of points.
Yeah,
I don't
2
think it does
showstoppers.
that. That would be crazy, though. I mean, he's still looking to try to get this spike down. The 300 credits going to be the difference maker. I feel like I would have wanted to save the weapon. There isn't too many rounds left. The economy is really wishy-washy now at this point. I mean, we'll have a look in that next round when we hit tab, just to see what the economy looks like, of course. But we're entering into round number 11. 2 more remain. And so for Way2French, they're happy about a 2-round lead. They can make it a 4-round lead. But we'll see if that's going to be the case.
Yeah, and sorry, Simo, just when I was talking about the bait with the orb, now that I think about it, it kind of did work. Because when he tapped that orb, 2 players actually pushed down towards short A to try to hunt him down, which left to a 1 versus 1 against Melio, where he won it and got the spike plant. Yes, he lost that 4 versus 1, or that 3 versus 1, whatever, but at least he was able to secure 300 credits for the rest of the team just from playing mind games and making sure that they have money to work with into this next round here.
We'll have to test that in the testing chambers, whether or not it spills over
in my platinum games.
Listen, Bach's already in diamond, so we got to catch up. We have a lot of work to do. He just somehow big brain underneath all that hair. Nano gonna find one early on to Shanks. The wall's gonna be going up to try to stop the push in through hookah, and to be quite honest, it did so really effectively. They'll back away, spray it down. As we see a Spectre on 4-pack, really means that he doesn't have the greatest weaponry alongside his team 4-pack. Now as well, he's got the Sheriff. Nano, it's going to be a little hazy on the site. Smoke's going.
Yeah, and getting 1 kill, nothing more you need. I mean, they have plenty of money to work with into this last round, so losing 1 player doesn't really add to much. But with the exception here that we do have Ange with a Neural Theft ready into this round. So who knows if that was the kill that was needed for that, because I didn't pay attention. But at least they have that Neural Theft ready into this round in the last round of the first half. But that's 5 rounds in a row that was won by Way2French. So they finally caught on to the split towards the A side and know how to hold it. And it's basically just to gunfight it, dogfight it, and win it, and just be crisper on the trades. And they're able to win this this A hold. That's why we see a lot of executions being attempted towards B now, because we haven't really tested it out for Team Underrated, with the exception of BB1 that came down to that tight 1 versus 1. So they're going to try it once again into round number 12.
We are seeing the attempt at taking that orb, but the attempt turns into an actual successful grab. Emilio trying to use that camera to see who is down long. Doesn't actually see anybody, I don't think. Age is still available to be executed. Manages to spot 1, but I think his camera will be taken down. And so 40 seconds now on that cooldown. He won't have it for quite some time. 4-pack looking dead into the site with an operator. Nano going to try to push in towards Hookah. It's just the setup here for Team Underrated, but with 40 seconds left on the clock, Ange has been working his way towards A for pretty much the entirety of the round, using the utility that he has and playing the long game to try to see if anyone pushes aggressively. They'll start those executes in. The paint shells stop them dead in their tracks, and for some reason, Shanks thinks it's a good idea to walk on some hot coals. Those paint shells explode right before his very eyes. And now they'll call that portal take over. 4 already. Now having to get caught in the rotate. Mildo knows that something's up and that they all took the teleporters. Well, here comes the Hunter's Fury. 1 going to hop through. This is the first shot. Ange is going to find a kill to Nano. Ange as well with 2. It'll be a quick trade in the res as well, but a face full of lead for Mil. As 4-pack will take him down. Now he's got a Hunter's Fury of his own. They'll have to run away as fast as possible. Kenpeki will take out Nano. It's down to the 2v3, or make it a 1v3, all up to 1 final player. Gonna be Jbzzz, and he finds himself mouthed in the gravel as Poised takes him down. Quite honestly, you're playing up against this hot and heavy team in Way2French. I will be quite happy with a 7-5 scoreline if I'm Team Underrated.
Dude, it was so close there for Mil. I would have liked it if he actually tried to peek out with the operator. I do understand the fact that the attackers all went through the teleporter to work towards A, because Ange already lurked down all the way towards you, thinking that the site is clear though, but never really clear towards heaven. So Mil was waiting there with the operator. If he actually checked that spot first and saw the spike carrier come out, if he whiffs a shot, sure. He whiffs a shot, then pull out the Hunter's Fury, and then make that spike carrier dance around because there was no time left. But now, because he starts with the Hunter's Fury first, he whiffs a few shots, and now he also gives a chance for the opponents to get position into the site for them to hold the pulse plan after. So small mistake there, but we'll see if they could capitalize back on it again on this attacker side.
We are seeing the push in towards B long. It's Way2French that are trying their hand at the attacker side now. The halves have swapped. And it's Underrated looking to defend. They'll start to push in. 1 kill comes through. It's Kenpeki and Poised. It's just too much for Way2French to handle. But all along, it was a ruse. 2 are going to be pushing in from the showers. They'll get that cheeky barrier orb up, and now looking towards the plant. It'll be still a difficult battle to overcome. It's the 4v2, and Ange has done his due diligence of being a pesky little rat and finding his way into a very fun situation. Mildo smells that something's up. Cage comes up. Now has to push through into the open arms of the opposition. He'll find 1, but is quickly taken care of.
Yeah, that was going to be nice if I actually got those 2 kills, but I don't think it would have gotten it no matter what. You still had a flanker coming in from the shower side too, so it was pretty much poised for them to lose. And speaking of poise, was the one that was stepping up there inside that garden for the 2 first picks. We talked a lot about, at least I talked a lot about Ange and tooted his horn on that first map. But the second map here, you definitely see Poise and 4-pack stepping it up for the team, while Ange is currently sitting at 7 and 9. So they're still looking for this comfort zone for the defender side now of Team Underrated. But at least it starts off with a very nice pistol round win, preventing a lot of kills or a lot of preventing kills, sorry, from their side, preventing deaths to not let the economy get built up for Way2French.
That's actually really good. Only one kill gets traded, but it's somehow, some way, they'll find so many frags in through wood, and it's poised. Last janitor to clock in for the night, cleans them all up. 7-7 is the score line, tying us back around. If I'm Way2French, I'm starting to sweat in my boots here a little bit. Of course, this is the round where redemption will be sweeter than most. They will have the weaponry to finally compete. We'll see if they're able to put a round on the board for themselves. And at the end of the day, that's what they desperately want if they want to come back and give us map number 3.
Yeah, and the comeback is definitely needed at that point. We're tied up 7-7. Operator now in the hands of 4-Pack. We do have a bunch of rifles for the attackers to try to execute early for control inside the fountain side. So the camera to look up first. We have a double peek towards this long B, starting with the operator too. Frost Orb wall to come up on top of that. They'll break it quick, forcing them to rotate back fast into the site. Nano's already taking control of the hookah as well, but they still have the Brimstone on the back of the tin, watching that front with poise, holding the B site like a king. 4-Pack looking to re-peek out towards long B. Could be very dangerous right now, and he connects onto Use, only down to 25 HP. They're pushing forward, and Craig gets the kill, but Kempeki with the Spectre trades it back.
Just so much aggression coming out from the defense, and now he picks up the operator. Kempeki doing his best impersonation, still holding the angle from the side. The smoke's about to dissipate. Out they go. The shot's not going to connect. It's Emilio that'll take him down. Shanks, one of the last ones remaining here on the site. Ange now is called in the rotation. The shots aren't going to connect. Unfortunately, he comes out jumping from above the tuna can, and it's Mil that'll take him down. Now it's the 1v2, but it's Ange that is responsible now to try to take these two players out. Pushing in aggressively. Will he get that flank around? The spike will go down. Ange actually finds Mil, but it's an expensive round for both teams as only one remains.
Dude, I don't know what the hell is going on, but when Mill got that kill, I was looking from the point of view of his teammate, and it looked like he was looking at the ground, still shooting the corpse. And I'm like, why would you do that when you still have a player live in the server? So I don't know if maybe they thought the round was over and it's like, oh crap, it's not. We still have to get the spike down. Or it was just like, I needed this. I needed this kill. I needed to come back into this game. They've been a thorn to my side right now for us to try to execute or hold, at least on the defender start to start things off. We won 5 rounds in a row. We're starting to lose grip here on the second half, and they need this momentum back. As you say, things are expensive here, Simo. They're only with pistols now for the attackers, as well as the defenders too, though. So this is going to be an interesting round.
No, I did see Nano with the Judge, and we're seeing a couple of SMGs on the side of the attack. So they are a little bit better than the opposition in terms of weaponry, but we'll see how that ends up panning out. A couple of those blast packs coming through. Emilio will deal with Shanks quite quickly. It's a pretty easy take, but the spike, unfortunately, is on the other side of the map, and he'll have to rush over very quickly as the defense are preparing to try to break through some of these walls. Maybe that wall put up a little too early. Mil will find 4-Pack. A couple of those shots come through, and it's the judge, it's the jury, it's the executioner as Nano takes down 2 and a flawless round for the attack.
Yeah, very easy round there to win after all, with them funneling it inside you. I mean, even better the way that Nano played it, because he funneled them by throwing paint shells, forcing all 3 players on the defender side to push forward. So very easy and well played for that French-Canadian player. And there you go. That looked beautiful there, thankfully. Even if Hughes wasn't there, he was going to get that kill. It was going to be a nice triple play. And then Simo would have probably said Judge Dredd or Judge Jury or something else along those lines.
Maury Povich with the triple!
So now it's 9-7. 2-point lead for Way2French. Looking to continue on here in this attacker side. We still don't know who's comfortable in what yet, because we've only seen so far a pistol round, a mixed buy on that second round, and a mixed buy on the third. Now we have the real gun round coming into this matchup, but still a very low buy for the attackers. Only in Cred with a Spectre, and they're doing similar strats as Team Underrated did. 4 guys working up towards short A, and lo and behold, the Cypher as a lurker, but this time in the hands of Milio.
Yeah, we are seeing that orbital strike clear out U-Haul, so at least they know what is going to be pushed in here from the side of the attack. So we'll see the defense. They're ready to go. It's the attack that are in their pretty standard post-plant positions. They'll try to push through. Poised with one. Jbzzz has to back away. The slow orb going to make things that much more difficult. It'll be the quick trade, though. And now the recon bolt spots out Jbzzz. Has to get into position, though. The resurrection from Poised means that Team Underrated really want to fight this. Shot here from Ange, has the operator in tow. The barrier orb as well going to be coming up, but it's the orbital strike as they've delayed too long to defuse the spike, but they need to act now and act quickly. Incred pushing through the smoke, face full of lead from Poised. Mill with the Hunter's Fury, great positioning, gets two, can he get the third? No, he cannot. Will they have time to defuse? No, they will not, and everyone crumbles to pieces, except Campeki. Except Campeki. Forget Campeki. I don't like him anymore.
Yeah, but if we look at the money, again, it's super expensive on both sides. Yeah, we'll have full rifles, but it's going to be very low if they lose this round for Way2French. So this is the debate right now for Team Underrated. Should we force buy here? Because the amount of times that we play with SMGs, again, like I said, tight corridors, tight corners, SMGs are still very strong. Setting up a crossfire inside hookah could help. Playing an SMG inside the shower's close range could help. Playing an SMG inside you could actually help as well. But they're going to opt to just stick with the pistols into this round. Way2French taking the lead by 3, looking for the lead by 4, and looking to also bring this to the third and final map of this best out of 3, which will be Ascent if we need to go to that site. So it did have the Phantom by Campeki, picked up now, and 4-pack dies.
Yeah, this is starting to really slip away from Underrated. Way2French, they've got the 3-round lead. The economy not really in the greatest shape for Underrated here, potentially looking at yet another round, putting us at 7-11. And unfortunately for Team Underrated, they're not going to be walking away with a big gulp. They're going to be walking away with map number 3 that they have to focus on. 2 quick kills already for the attack, and only one remaining, and it's Shanks. And unfortunately for him, he's got to deal with a whole lot of players if he wants to break onto the site.
You can see, though, from his position that he's not looking to contest it anytime soon. Just trying to make it expensive right now on this 4-on-1. If anybody was going to make the mistake of trying to move forward. I mean, he's already got his ult up, so he doesn't really need to go on a hunt for these kills. Could manage to save his gun into the next round. But he's still looking to force the economy to make it very low because they've done it before. We've seen it on Haven, but he manages to come out with 86 hit points. No kills, and now 3 players trying to chase him down. So he's backing away all the way towards the attacker spawn. He should be safe for now. It seems as though we don't want to go on a hunt for Way2French because, like I said, the money was very low for them. So they want to have as much money as possible to bring this into a third map.
Okay, but like, can we just for 1 second talk about the previous map, how it went to overtime and how this could also potentially go to overtime? Yeah, let's talk about that for a quick second. Of course, it is looking rough for Team Underrated, but come on. This is a team that could definitely bounce back, and we can't count them out just quite yet. Now that they have the money exactly where they want it to be, we'll see if that will be the difference maker. And for them, that's what they need. If they lose this round, we're going to map 3. It's pretty easy. I feel like it's a pretty quick call. But at the end of the day, Way2French were at map point for so long on Haven, and they weren't able to close it out. So
yeah, like 12-8.
Yeah, it was pretty close. So we'll see how these the rest of these rounds unfold. But Way2French feeling probably a little bit more comfortable on the attacker side.
Yeah, and even this round here, Team Underrated on the defense have 2 offensive ultimates, starting with their showstopper, but doesn't get anybody. Woo! They spread out quite quick like cockroaches for Way2French, but Ange still manages to get 2 kills from the U with the Phantom. Finally, though, Poise continues on with some kills. Poise continue with the 4th kill for the team, and then Use is going to be the last man standing, forced to get on that res. So I was going to talk about ultimates. Way2French had 3 of them, only 1 on the offensive side, and then 1 on the support. So the support comes up with that 2, actually. They managed to get the kill onto 4-pack. I'm surprised he never dropped down after he got spotted. And they should know, though, why haven't they looked there? The trade comes through. The Neural Theft saw that Sage heading down towards that bottom. I guess they thought that she was going to fall back towards J.
I like this.
Yeah, Melio's running all the way to A to plant. This is huge.
Yeah, this is so smart. And then they have to push in. They're still waiting for that spike to go down, but they'll be caught on a wait. What is he doing? Okay, I
Finding
thought he was
fart
gonna.
showers?
I thought he was gonna run all the way back around.
No.
I thought he was playing PUBG. I thought he was waiting for the circle to close, and he was just running around. But now he's gonna get into position. U-Haul. Unfortunately, Vansili, that is like the most logical place to hide, and so he's gonna get flushed out. Maybe with some utility, maybe some paint shells, maybe some blast packs. I don't know. But he's got 30 HP, and a blast pack will sneeze on him. He sees them coming through. One headshot's clean. Now it's the 1v1. Very doable for him. Still can make things a little bit more competitive as he jiggle peeks around. The shots won't connect. Another jiggle peek and the shots won't connect. The third jiggle peek and the shots will connect. But will the defusal come in time? I think it will. Team Underrated live to tell the tale of another round.
That's insane. 22 HP as well to survive that one too. It's quite strange. Quite unfortunate, rather, but nice try by Melio. But somehow, like I said, look at that. See, the Neural Theft saw two players. They saw one on the top of the tug, and then they saw the Sage Kanpeki at the bottom of that tin. I don't know why they didn't try to clear out the site. I saw one just running out with the spike out or something and get that frag. Nonetheless, though, Team Underrated wins this one here. The money is still somewhat healthy for Way2French, and Cred stuck again one more time with a Spectre, and 4-Pack saying, look, we're maybe behind by 3. We still want to press the aggression towards this long B side, the opt to peek out, and 2 soon to peek towards the fountain.
I like this aggression. Team Underrated have been doing it quite consistently. The shots, though, have to be careful. Of course, Sage there with the heal and that buddy system really going to benefit the Sova player. The jump peek, gonna spot one up into Hookah. But still, now things have slowed down for Way2French. A lot of utility now being used for the execute. Inkred gonna push through. One gonna be taken down as Kanpeki. But the orbital strike means that things are cooking on the site. No one will actually fall. Poised has a couple of smokes of his own, but he pushes in at the most perfect time. Finds himself on the other side, and it's Jbzzz that'll take him down valiantly. 4-Pack now using that owl drone to try to scout out who's on the other side. Notices there's a lot of action. Mil will find one onto Shanks. And this round is slowly falling apart for the defense as everyone's just falling left and right. All up to 4-Pack now as he's the last one standing. Was the last one standing. Was.
Surprise, surprise. Cage comes down and Mill gets the pick. Indeed, he was alive. And now it's map point for Way2French. We've seen this scenario before in our previous map. It's not over yet. But I'm surprised.
12-8, did you say?
Yeah, it was exactly 12-8. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. I don't know, but I think the last map was also 12-8 on Haven. But what I find unfortunate, though, was that the Owl Drone came out from 4-Pack on the attempt of a retake. He also had the Hunter's Fury. So I don't know why he didn't try to shoot that out to let his teammates also move in while everybody's jumping around. That could have maybe helped for a Team Underrated to retake that round. Hopefully, he's going to use it into this round here. As the Owl Drone moves down towards his B side, it's going to spot Melio. He's not going to use it yet, but he's looking to see if a plant is going to get attempted towards his A side where he could maybe deny it.
Yeah, it's a great call here from Way2French. Little do they know, though, there are 2 on the site. Ange can be one of those, and he's pushing aggressively in through U-Haul. Shank's going to find one. Great use of that utility. That spike's still yet to go down. And now going to be trying to reposition to give the benefit of the doubt for the opposition. Will they push in or will they double back? But that double back is probably already too little too late, as there's already one there with the flank. Melio going to find one onto Poise. Poise was the one that was flanking, so he's no longer in the mix. Neil will find one at the 4-Pack. It is slowly starting to fall apart. Up to 2 players now, and it's a phase full of showstopper for Kanpeki. Nano going to take him out, and it's all up to Ange. But that spike's already on B.
Yeah, moving in for that plant. Teleporter coming through as the spike is planning for somewhat the operator inside Hookah. But Ange, the type of person I've been harping before, not necessarily harping, but praising rather, to clutch a 3 versus 1, down to 46 HP. Recon Dart actually not in a great position to give Ange's position away, so Ange could still creep up inside this site. Up against 3 players who don't have any ultimates, so they have to go for face checks as soon as a fake plant comes through. But now the op shot rings. He knows that he's getting pushed inside Hookah. They're just going to play the time. This is pretty much it. Way2French is going to win this one here. It's going to be 13-8. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going into a third and final map, and it's best out of 3 between Way2French and Team Underrated for the Trovo Challenge Valorant.
Okay, so we almost had the opportunity there for a comeback, but almost doesn't count, unfortunately, in Valorant.
That's it.
So next map, of course, will be Ascent, but having a quick look at some of these scores, Poised really topping the charts, and quite honestly, I have to say it's a little bit surprising considering how strong of a performer Ange was in the previous map, and 4-pack, quite honestly. We saw some of those cheeky little boosts, and not to mention some of those different angles that he prepared with the operator on B and A, respectively, on Haven. But nevertheless, the score says defeat, and only one was defeated. It was Way2French that came out on top, and now they'll take us to map number 3, which, like you said earlier on, is going to be Ascent. And so a lot to look forward to on the attacker side of the map. We'll see who starts us off and who kicks us off, and that'll be kind of, I feel like, the difference maker of that map.
No, definitely. And even when you looked at the scoreboard previously, although you had Poise on the top, I think at 22 kills, the rest of them, though, at the bottom, all the way to the bottom, with the exception of Nolpenki, were pretty much 14 kills and above. So it still seemed pretty close for both sides in terms of fragging potential that you had from both teams. Both teams fought valiantly at that point. When it comes to takes and retakes, nothing but double kills all around for some of the players anchoring on the defender side. Players moving for the attacker side for entries. Mill, incredible round that time there with that operator getting that 4K. So everybody had their moment to shine. Everybody had their moment to step up, with the exception of Nolpenki. But Nolpenki as a Sage, when you're running around for heals, getting your walls up, being a utility player, he did his part too. I won't discredit him for being a low scorer, because there you go. For other plays like that, he's there to support every single time for Poise or for the operator 4-pack that was trying to look down towards Long B. So they still played a very good fight for Team Underrated, but now it's going to have to be decided into that final map of Ascent.
That shot was gross. Yeah, it's all down to the last and final map, and to be quite honest, Ascent being one of the more newer maps, this is going to be either good news for one of these teams who have practiced it, or bad news for one of these teams that have not practiced it. And so, considering it's a little bit more attacker-sided, based on what we've seen, Way2French like to attack. They did a great job on Haven. They did a great job on Bind. And so you can imagine that if they start on defense, it's going to be rough. They're really bad at retakes, and they need to work on that. However, when they attack, they do such a great job of brute forcing their way through. And that is the one thing that I feel like sticks their rounds together. It's what keeps their rounds together. It's what keeps them in the match at hand. And specifically on Bind, it was underrated that could not really find an answer for really either side. I mean, well, sorry, for that second side, because 7-5 is a pretty close match. But Ascent's going to be the next one, and I'm excited to see how these two teams duke it out.
Definitely. Ascent being the newer map, we don't really know how Underrated it's going to play. That means that Way2French doesn't know how they're going to play it too. So we'll find out if we're going to go for a stageless comp for any of these teams, or what type of new strategies we might find from Way2French or from Team Underrated. And that's coming up next, right after the break here, the last semifinal matchup between these two teams, Way2French and Underrated, for the Trovo Challenge Valorant. I'm Vansili, he's Simo, and we'll be back.
This has been a very difficult thing. As you can see, the cat is trying to get out of my hands, but I'm just going to let it go. Welcome back to the Trovo Challenge. We are heading into map number 3 of the semifinals, the last semifinal of the day. I am, of course, Simo. Alongside me is Vansili. He himself is not a cat. He is a human, and he's ready to cast the next map on Ascent.
Meow, 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 meow. That's right. Ascent is coming up. Way2French and Team Underrated. It's been 2 close maps. Closer on the first than on the second one. But I gotta say, from what I've witnessed on that second map, despite it being 13-10, I think, 13-8 as a score, it was still some very close rounds from both of these teams. So very, very close. Ascent is going to be a brand new ball game for both of these teams. We'll see what comes out of that. I think you're getting allergic. Are you scratching your eye?
Yeah,
You're
no.
allergic
I'm not actually allergic, but there's just cat hair everywhere. My eyes are just. So, okay, get out of there. All right, so the only team that we saw so far in this at least playoff bracket that we've seen of the Trovo Challenge is Demon Time actually play Ascent, right? I don't actually have the qualifier bracket up handy, but maybe there was Ascent played for Team Underrated and Way2French. But Team Underrated, they went to split up against Big Frames and put up some big numbers, 13-10, with Poised being the one that leads the charge for the team. And we talked a little bit about Ange being that rock for the team, but that really only was on Haven. I expect Poised to probably continue some of that momentum, and it'll be up to him to help pull up, by the bootstraps and help his team come out on top here. But on the opposite side, you've got Way2French, who you touched on a little bit earlier during the highlight package. They're all around a good team. There's no one that is really slacking on that roster.
No, definitely. When I'm looking at it, I was looking through the spike.gg as well to see if any other teams played Ascent. And I think, as you mentioned here, Simo, only Ascent was played twice by Demon Time. Qualifier, I haven't seen much because we don't have the qualifiers. We only have the actual tournament itself. But nonetheless, when you're looking at the prize pool, though, this is that final map that decides if you're walking away tonight with only $800 or walking away with guaranteed $1,800 moving into the grand finals tomorrow. Another single elimination, best out of 3, with a $5,000 first place prize on the line, and that is all thanks to Trovo that put $10,000 for North America, $10,000 as well for Europe to be able to promote their platform, a brand new streaming platform that you guys could all check out on Trovo.live. And meanwhile, though, another big shout out to GLL. The tournament's powered by them. They have the platform where we actually had these whole qualifiers go through, and they have plenty of Valorant tournaments happening daily, and that is going to start next week. So if you guys want to find more information about that, make sure you guys head on over to play.gll.gg/Valorant.
And you're watching this on Trovo as well. You wouldn't be watching it otherwise. It's not really available anywhere else. So
yeah, thank
you to the 119 viewers that are joining us in the chat. Some of you might be players scouting out your next opponent for tomorrow. I see you, Inox, and I see you watching. But some of you might just be enjoying the match, and some of you may not really know what Valorant is. Valorant, of course, a brand new game from Riot Games, releasing one of their very first FPS titles. I think it might be the first and last, to be quite honest. They just probably want to continue to focus on this, but we had a closed beta a couple of weeks ago, and the rest now is history as the full game has released free to the public. And this is just one of the many tournaments that Vansili and I have had the pleasure of watching, commentating, experiencing. So if you're really enjoying what Trovo has done here, what they have put together here, highly recommend you start to follow the scene, invest in some Twitter follows, and myself and Vansili, and maybe some other organizations like the Spike GG, Trovo, to see what other tournaments are coming up and when you can watch them. Of course, to the actual map at hand, we talked a little bit about Ascent. We talked a little bit about these two teams. Way2French, I feel like they're still trying to find what flow works for them. It does seem like they are hot and cold. One round, they are like crushing it. And then the other round, it's just very difficult for them to follow up with their opposition. But they will start on defense. And we touched a little bit about how they like to attack, and it's an attacker-sided map. So they will have to do that in the second half.
And I like this. So you are going with still 2 agents that can go with with smokes rather. So you do have the Brimstone and the Omen for Way2French, but you still have the Sage. So that means you're sacrificing a duelist, for example, as a raise that they usually have for Nano, but you could still be a fragger with Omen too. So I like this composition. That's interesting. It's new for me. We'll see how this is going to be played for Way2French once they take the attacker side. But for Team Underrated, they also still have a Sage, but they have an Omen instead of a Brimstone and a Breach, actually, as an initiator.
Yeah, one thing that I'm going to be looking towards Way2French is how they use double smoke on the attacker side. It's going to be a long time before we get there. For the time being, a couple of kills already traded away. That flash initiation is gone off the table, as we see a couple of kills already traded away. Jbzzz valiantly steps forward, but he's going to be paranoid a little bit as he finds himself on the bitter end of a couple of shots. Emilio, though, finds Shanks trying to get boosted up over the door. And with that spike down, it is Way2French just getting the job done, shot after shot, and a great start for them.
And you see what I mean? Like, somebody like a Sova, if you're able to main Sova, you could be so useful for the team. A lot of players or a lot of teams don't really play Sova as an S tier, but I would still consider it like an A tier, where you're just able to get so much information on retakes and executions at the beginning of the round, just by the amount of pings you could get from the recon dart, the recon owl that comes out. And even if you throw a recon dart that doesn't get any information, as soon as it's shot out, information is already given there. It's kind of like the trapwire when people break it.
Yeah, it's like giving you the information that someone is there. Although, the trickiest thing about recon bolts is sometimes the range is a bit wonky. Someone can still kind of dodge it with a crouch or something like that, even though really, if they're looking at the wave, it should technically initiate a revealing of some sorts. And so
it's as long as you don't stare directly at the bolt, right? You're not going to get spotted pretty much.
Ooh, speaking of get spotted, Shanks gets taken down by Meal. A great start to the round for them, and noticing that Meal only has a ghost means that he didn't force up like the rest of his team. Maybe he wants the operator moving on into that third round. It's something that's very likely since he was the operator user for the past couple of maps. We are seeing the push in, and I like this adaptation. They go deep in towards Pizza to try to push in and maybe push outwards from the defender spawn, but it's cost them a lot of resources. Down to 3 members now. It's the 3v4. And for Team Underrated, what started off as a great idea has really started to fall apart. But again, they don't really have the weaponry to deal with the opposition.
Yeah, even a recon L towards recon dart rather towards the entrance of B spotted a player there, so you're forcing rotations now to support towards his B side. With 20 seconds left on the clock, you could kind of guess they are trying to push towards his B side, and Nano knew that, gets a tap in the face of Ench. And interesting enough here, as Yuz gets this double kill, as we have changes, the Sova is actually not being used by Mill. So they switched not only agents, but they switched their roles too. So you do have Nano, that's usually the fragger, as the Raze, who's currently playing as the Sova. You stays as a Sage, Melio stays as the Cypher, and Cred stays as the Brimstone. But it is the Omen that's going to get utilized here by Mill.
Yeah, having a look at some of these frags, good stuff. Keeping things spicy for Team Underrated, though. They'll now have the weaponry to play, and it's going to be the battle of the ops in mid. And to be quite honest, you love to see it. Mil, though, has to back away as that smoke is very dangerous. Does not want to get into too many close-range engagements with the opposition 4-pack, though. He's got an operator of his own. Has saved up quite a lot of credits. Doesn't have any utility, as you can see. Has some light armor as well. See what he ends up doing here. He's still trying to peek around the corner. Mil, though, going to find himself on the return end of a very powerful bullet 4-pack, taking him out, and now it's the 4v5.
That's right, and they're still split off across the map here for the attackers, so they're still trying to figure out where they want to go. As they group up finally towards this mid, it seems as though they're anticipating some sort of a B hit, so they're already closing down the market doors. So it's after hours already for the market here for the team of Way2French. They're still turtling 2 inside the site. 2 playing outside A, although 1 is hiding inside Wine. So we are really focusing on some sort of hold/retake towards B, and it starts off with the Owl Drone that's going to give so much information away here now as Nano plays it greatly. And they break the door, they're moving in. Nano gets the first kill, but it's traded out. Yuz is still alive, gets the frag onto the Cypher. There's 22 seconds left on the clock. 4-pack finally retaliates back. Now Melio picking up that operator. Looking back at the Cyber Cage has calmed down. Spike has been planted, and there's an operator just across the door there at that B main.
Yeah, Inkray going to try to push through with the Spectre, gets a couple of those shots in, and I don't really think it tags a whole lot. The smokes are going to go down as well, give him a little bit of cover. Sees one down in the corner, will take him down, switches to the Phantom. Things are a little bit more doable now. The buddy system is ready to go and push in behind the hut. Inkray, though, the spray is not going to be good. They'll push in together, pick up the weaponry. The shot in the face is going to be what gets the job done. 4-pack, though, still alive, hoping to keep his dream alive here, but the shot won't connect. And it's Melio that wins the most important round, or does he? Oh. Oh my God.
0.35.
How? How does this happen? Oh no. Oh
and
man.
Simply due to the fact that the spike wasn't even planted for the person playing behind at the garage. So you would expect from the positions that they were at, it's like, oh, it's just going to be right next to me as I get the kill. So as you get into the heat of the moment and of 1 versus 1, you take down the operator. And what I like about 4-Pack is basically he never shot. He's like, I'm going to try to waste as much time as I can, play the time on my side. Now I'm just going to try to find the right shot. He misses it, but he wasted just enough time there for Underrated to get that round.
Yeah, and now the economy is in a little bit of a weird spot. We are seeing 1,500 go towards Way2French, 3,000 go over towards Underrated. Now they'll have the economy to obviously force up. For the side of Way2French, you can see they've got pistols. And so expect them to play a little bit more different than what they're normally used to. And you're seeing that 4 stack towards Pizza. Not going to bode well for them. They'll have to back away as they didn't really gather any information off of that. And it's Team Underrated that were hoping for a push in towards A, but the information that they gathered was not enough. They see a couple of those guys behind the Kench bench. The recon bolt has made things very difficult for them to get out of there. Ange's going to find Nano, and it's Heal that'll back away down to about 40% HP.
And as you can tell, they don't really have that much money to work with. A couple of pistols that have been shot that I've heard. And there you go. It's a classic in the hands of Mill. You do have a Vandal at least on the other end of whoever was playing on Catwalk who decides to fall back. I think that was Milio indeed. You have a Phantom in the hands of Incred that's holding towards the entrance of this B side, where it seems as though Underrated will be the team that will try to attempt towards this B take again. Initiation from a flashpoint, but a little bit too late to come out for that flash. Trade after trades with 13 seconds left on the clock, and it's a 2 versus 1 in favor of Team Underrated. 10 seconds left. Spike is now planted. No weapons around here for use, so he has to come down and make some noise to be able to pick up a gun if he wants to drop onto the left side or go sneaky on the right side, but he has no idea where the 2 players are at, and they're actually both in the back of the site going double up, especially with a camera up. So much information now given away. They can line this up together and easily win this round.
Yeah, there's just not much he could do. There's so many angles to look at, and considering what we know about Team Underrated is that they are the king of angles. They've got every angle covered. Don't need to worry about the retakes. Their crossfire setup is usually crispy clean. Now we are seeing the 2-2 start. This is, of course, an attacker-friendly map, and so for the side of Team Underrated, they can't really let Way2French get any rounds. They got the pistol, they got the SMG, but now they'll start to get rounds back on the board. Of course, Way2French now, they've got a full buy of their own. They haven't had that for quite some time. It's 2 rounds that they unfortunately lost, but now they'll have the weaponry to make things a little bit more respectful on the attacker side. We'll see if that's going to be the case. Smoke's down, and mid control is to the attacker side.
One more spotter here towards that mid side. Hunter's Fury to come out, gets the first tag, trying to go for the final kill, but it's tagged up. I wonder if it got healed at the same time, because I saw that Sage run back towards that backside before. So maybe that's how he was able to stay alive. Indeed, you could see Brimstone, he's like above 70%, so I think he got a tap on a heal as he was getting hit. So that gives a chance here on a 5-5, and also to waste the Hunter's Fury away. So that gives no map control so far for Team Underrated, who will once again decide to work towards his mid side, which seems to have been working for them so far. But nonetheless, though, it's still a 2-2 scoreline in this first half. They have 3 ults to work with on the defender side. They have what it takes to prevent them from working towards this catwalk side, because that's where the Brimstone's at.
Incred ready with another smoke as they are looking to try to push in towards Tree. It's the red carpet that's rolled out for the team, and the orbital strike not going to connect onto anybody, but in they go. Emilio will take down 1, and as they try to retake the site, it's 2 quick kills for the attack as they will get that spike down. 4-Packs makes it 3, and it's not looking so good for the defense. They have now to retake the last 2 members that were on the opposite side, and they're up against a 4-stack already defending the spike.
Yeah, one guy's hiding around the corner on Catwalk 2. If Hughes tries to break the door, it's going to be face-to-face. 4-Pack wins it as Nano now on the top of Raptors being wall-banged because he got spotted by the camera too. That's going to be the call for him to tuck his tail back between his legs and run away. Actually, he's going to go back at it. He just wants to try to make it expensive. Does get the kill onto Ange. Looking back towards spawn side, and 4-pack adds 4 kills into the tally for this round. Underrated retake the lead in this round, or in this half.
So what's super crucial about Way2French here is that they desperately just need a round. Maybe 2, maybe 3. You know, if they finish this half 7-5, they can be happy about that. If they finish 8-4, they can be happy about that. If they finish 9-3, they can be happy about that. 10-2, inexcusable. You should not be letting the opposition get 10 rounds here. And so they really need to fight for these. We are seeing the eco from them, sheriffs across the board. That could still hurt. That could still be painful. We'll see how they end up using it. Haven't seen a whole lot of catwalk play, but this time I am. This time they're playing a little bit more close. We'll see if that pays off. So far, it's Team Underrated that are playing towards the A side. They do have a few members looking for mid control from the opposite side. And haven't really spotted anyone out quite yet. I think I just saw Ange there with a pistol, which means that maybe not everyone has the economy to really play. Yeah, Ange just has a classic for some reason. I think I thought that they had money rolling in the bank now at this point. They won 3 straight. Maybe he just likes the gun. I don't know.
At least, thankfully, though, for Way2French, they are on a full eco themselves. Couple of shares to come out. First one is Spot. Shanks does get the kill onto Incred as they're pushing forward inside and pressing inside the A side. Neural Theft is going to make it so easy for them to take over this A side and get the spy pine as well. Still managed to come into the site unscathed as Ange watching flank. Mill falls down inside the garden. 4-pack trying to watch the bigger flank towards long A, but the last 2 to go are trying to rotate back here from this top rafters and also the garden. Finally, though, Use goes to work, puts the first kill on the board for Way2French in this round, but I think it's going to be it, because Nano, he's going to be paranoid. He doesn't have anything but Sheriff full armor, has to walk through the dark cloud, actually, and as he peeks out, it should be over right now.
Still playing exits. Can make this very difficult. He hears them sprint away, but he can't really sprint because they'll hear him. And now he's going to have a great angle, but they catch him out. And now, still gets him though. Nice. I mean, Nano's got to be happy about that. Like you get 2 exits there, I think it was. And that makes it a little expensive. We already had Ange with a classic in that previous round. Fortunately for them, they still have the economy to really play. They'll get the operator for Shanks, 4-pack as well. I think he's going to be the one that ends up buying the Phantom instead. I'm not really quite sure why that's working out that way because usually it's Shanks on the operator, but we are seeing Way2French. They've got the weapons now, playing towards mid, but I think Team Underrated have an answer for some of these gun rounds where they'll play towards B instead. We'll see if that's going to be their desired location this time, but Incred, very aggressive push in through mid.
Yeah. He's probably just going to duck around that area. Usually not many people check that corner when they push forward on Cat, especially due to the fact that if you have a crossfire setup from Mill with the operator from the market, now that a dark cover comes out, though, he's going to be still in a great position to watch any type of players that are going to cross over from B-Link or from the back of mid. So far, if you're looking from this mini-map, you do have one player. It's going to be the Breach that's walking forward there on that catwalk. Should be an easy kill now for Incred, and there we go. He's just waiting right now, being very patient to see if anybody else is going to meet up with his teammates. And there we go. That's 1. That's 2. He spots the 2 more towards the link.
Wow.
Gets the hat trick. Reloading his gun. Spotted the spike carrier at the same time. Now he could find his teammates to rotate as well and just hold down and pin the last 2 players inside link. But Kampeki says, we're not done yet. First kill onto Mill. The operator is down. Through the smoke, and Cred is looking for that ace as he gets the 4th kill onto Eng. Kampeki is stuck in that smoke, though, inside that B-Link. And I wonder if Incred is going to be like, man, I really want this kill. I'm going to try to hunt him down. Indeed, he's just around the corner. So he walks across his own smoke. And as Kampeki peeks back out, he gets spotted now from both corners at Catwalk and B side. And Way2French finally put a 3rd onto the board. It sounds as though we're really stretching out these rounds here, Simo. But no matter what, it's a very close game.
Yeah, Incred, just great play there from him. In a great position. And that's not like Valorant. That's just great presence of mind play. You know what I mean? That's not like, oh yeah, I'm a phenomenal Valorant player. That's just good FPS knowledge, you know, really understanding the map, understanding what resources are there. I know where the players are. I know where the players are not. And, you know, having that position, just incredibly resourceful. So that puts a round on the board for Way2French. And like I said, a 9-3 half is good. If they can make it, you know, 8-4, if they can have a positive lead over Team Underrated, I mean, I don't foresee that really happening. But if they do, they will feel really good moving into the second half.
So you do have some CISO smoke, being thrown towards his mid side. First, Paranoia towards his catwalk. We're trying to change the pace a little bit for Team Underrated. Being a little bit more aggressive here towards his catwalk side. We do have our Dark Cloud or Dark Cover being thrown on the defensive side too. That's going to force now Underrated to fall back once again towards an attempt of a mid control. It started off though with a wall towards Pizza, so they can't really spot towards the back of the mid. And as the Dark Cover dissipates, more smokes coming in from Incred, another Dark Cover coming in on the other side, and an ultimate coming through from the Omen, an orbital strike from Incred, an attempt of a push inside A, and it works off well. From that ult, we get a few kills, a couple of trades, a Guardian coming out from Ken Pecky for the kill onto Incred. We've made it inside the site, rotations coming through, and Shanks is actually going to try to push up aggressively.
Yeah, we're seeing Mill here has other things in mind, teleports to the tree room, and I think it gets taken care of quite easily, or he cancels it rather. Gathering information, that gives Nano space to push through, and a res for Incred, so they're really investing a lot of their resources and utility. Shock Dart behind the site to try to get that player flushed out. Recon Bolt will be the one that spots that player behind the box. Mill pushes it from behind. It's business as usual, but business is starting to tank. It's a recession. Or it's Incred that comes out with the hero play. Diffusal will go over to him, and he'll have an orbital strike ready for that next round. But that ties us up 4-4, and Way2French absolutely need that.
That's Incred with 2 quad kill rounds into that retake. And you said it correctly there, Simo. They really invested on the retake altogether from that cat side. Looking at Tree, using the Omen ult, gives a chance that there's nobody spotted there towards Catwalk or towards Tree. That gives a chance for Use to move forward and get the res and have a 3-man push inside the site. And then you have one more coming up on the top of Heaven. It made it very hard for Underrated to hold things out. It started off so well from the way that Shank got the teleporter in and got the kill entry onto the A site, but it was just a beautiful retake there from Incred's 4K.
Yeah, it's a player like Incred that's going to stop Team Underrated dead in their tracks. We are seeing they still have the weaponry to play, so they'll push in towards B. Jbzzz will be the one that's here waiting for them. A couple of them are starting to push through the smoke. The shots are good. Hunter's Fury, however, is not. Incred will find one with the orbital strike. It's already looking like it's falling apart here for Team Underrated. 2 remain. Reach and the Sova poised in a corner here. Some of them had weapons, but it looks like he had the Ghost as well as 4-pack. So my mistake on that. Looks like the eco for them and makes a little bit more sense now why they were not able to push in through the fish market.
Yeah, they were just trying to win with ultimates too, trying to get into that site, but it was fully denied by Incred's orbital strike. You still being on point here with his Vandal, trying to find that last kill into this round. It's going to be the Sova, still stuck there towards the entrance. Paranoia to come through, and as he's trying to still jiggle peek with 25 seconds left on the clock, now spotted, Incred continues the tally of kills that he has in this half. Tally's up to like, what, 9 kills? 10 kills in the last 2-3 rounds? He's on top of that scoreboard for sure. He's farming.
Listen, Mama made's a brand new batch of poutine, and it's getting cold, so he needs to finish up his best of 3.
I'm hungry too now.
ASAP! Get me out of here, Incred is saying he wants his poutine hot and fresh, so he's trying to close things out early.
I wish there was a Belle Province that was open 24/7 close to my place now. I want some poutine too. Why you gotta put this in my mind, man? I'm on a diet.
Listen, I'm gonna ruin it for you. Before I went vegan, I had the best poutine in my life. It had pogos in it, sliced up pogos.
That's my go-to.
For those of you that don't know, pogos are corn dogs.
Corn dogs, yeah.
And it was just changed my life because you know
I catch up with that too. It makes it so
the gravy soaked into the corn dog, and it was just.
All right, I'm muting you, dude. Production, I'll see you guys later. I'm just gonna go quickly to the bathroom. This round, though, 5-4. It's going to be a full gun round here. We do have Shanks with the Phantom as well, as they're going to try to go for this gun round and attempt to tie this map up on this first half still. As we still think that this is attacker-sided, it's still very close on both ends, because like I said, none of these teams really know each other into this map. So it's kind of like Puggy. It's kind of sluggish at the same time, too, trying to find the right executes now. And it starts off with 3 players pushing up towards this market and a split towards B, where we still have 2 players holding inside that site.
So much control. They smoked off, you know, the entirety of pizza. Now they've got control of the fruit market.
Man, you gotta call pizza and fruit too now?
they got fruit, they got fish, they got pizza. Ange, though, he's got Nano. Incredible answer back with the refrag, but so far it's Team Underrated. Finally have the weaponry and finally have control of a site that they want. It's going to be down to 2 members here now for Way2French, and they'll be pushing in from the defender's spawn. But it's 4-pack with the operator, and he's holding himself a great angle. Unfortunately, they smoke off, I think, the wrong angle, but a great teleport in from the Omen player, and it's going to be the tripwire, I think, that spots him out. Or was the recon bolt? I'm not quite sure. Nolpenki with 1. The shot's clean onto Melio for 2. So tying us up back 5-5. And quite honestly, I could see this being a 6-6. I could see this being a 7-5. At the end of the day, if it's 6-6, Way2French got everything they wanted. Because I personally feel they're way stronger on attack on any map. I just think their defense is not the greatest. Like their positioning's a little off in some cases. And on a map like Ascent, it could be really punishing, especially if you're defense, right? But they've actually been doing a really good job. I'm very impressed. Or it might just be Team Underrated not really knowing what to do on attack, right? Like, we saw T1 hit A, like, like, what was it, like 10 out of 12 rounds on attack? They just hit A every time. And the enemy team, which was TSM, they were like, we don't know what to do. We're just going to keep losing these. And maybe it's just the fact that Team Underrated, like you said, they are playing a little bit more puggy. They don't really quite know what are the exact execute strats on a map like Ascent. So far, this round's been going well for them. They've already got 2 kills. That can really open up a map for them to go where they need to go, which is going to be A specifically. But moving into that second half, things might be a little bit more difficult for them with Way2French on attack.
Yeah, so far they're trying to clear out towards this A sign. We are still attempting to hit towards this A site, which is quite surprising. They've had such good success working towards B, especially getting an early kill towards mid. I'm still surprised that they're still going A at this point. Jbzzz trades it back, though, as they keep 3 alive for the attackers. Make that only 2. Spike is now down. It's a 2 versus 2, as Jbzzz is doing his work. He gets 1 more kill. He can bring a res. He spots him on the top of the wall, trying to wallbang him, runs out of bullets. But at least shock darts are coming out. Actually, sorry, it's a recon arrow. A nice wallbang from Nano onto Nolpenki. Last one is spotted as a generator. They're going to drop as a team. 2 players to drop down. Ange cannot even connect onto 1. And that's going to be the defuse coming in for Way2French. Like I said, it seems as though Underrated had the most success working towards B, simply from the sheer fact that as soon as they get a couple of kills or control towards mid, you could see how much Way2French turtles all the way towards the back of the site. When you're playing an execute of 4 players pushing against 2 inside the site and you lose, it's so hard for the defender from A to rotate across. It's easier for you to hold a pulse plant situation with 1 guy rotating than 2 players versus 4 rushing against you on a take.
You know, I also have to think how well Melio played to delay, and that was really the name of the game. They had such a man advantage on the side of Team Underrated, and it did not really bode well for them. We are seeing the full buy here. Nano already in a difficult scenario, tries to get the jiggle peek from the fish market, but comes up flopping around, fish out of water. Still going to be the 5v5 as nobody comes out tagged, dinked, or hurt. But this time around, Team Underrated to have a lot of good control of mid. We saw them pushing from mid, from Pizza towards B last time. It worked out quite well for them. But I think what works best is their pushes through Catwalk. And when they have control of A, it's really difficult for Way2French. It's kind of like a coin flip. They either really win the takes back or they lose them horribly. So So far, a little undecided for Team Underrated, just setting up towards mid, and it looks like it'll be a potential B push. But they've got a lot of utility that they're using to try to scout it out.
I've also realized that this map also has gelato and wine. This map has nothing but food callouts. we gotta find a place that has like energy drinks for our production team, because again, 5:30 a.m. for them right now, and they're still rocking it. Look at this great camera work. He's catching every single action at 5:30 a.m. We need you in North America.
There's a coffee shop in Split. There's a coffee shop in Split.
True. It's not going to go to our fourth map, though. This is the last and final map. Last round of this first half. Execution attempted inside the A site. Neural Theft to come out too. Orbital Strike to come down on top of that as well. 14 seconds left on the clock. The spike is down. Melee tries to get the kill with success onto 4-pack. Nano catches the late flanker, and Ange trips on a wire and eats a bullet. And Way2French wins this first half by 2, 7-5.
Eats a bullet? Really? You're going to go with eats a bullet as your commentary? That's
nothing
what
else
you're going to go
at this point.
You could eat your words. Oh.
Yeah, true. Oh, man, if only that kept me full.
That's the new diet, man. Just a diet full of words.
It's making me burn more calories to talk this much.
Moving on to the second half, we talked a little bit about how Way2French, they prefer the attack. They are already set up with what looks like towards an A push, 2 towards AC, and the other 2 will likely take the catwalk route. We'll see how Team Underrated will defend. You know, they don't really have the same ops, the same agents here from both sides. So will the swap really make that big of a difference? We have double smoke for Way2French. Could that be a big difference maker? Maybe. They've got like, what, 5 smokes? That could be very scary when you're pushing in towards A, but we'll see how they end up using.
Definitely with smokes that are rechargeable too as Omen, so I really like the fact that you have Omen on Ascent to try to take map control on mid side. What I like as well though from a breach from Underrated is that you could get these flashpoints on aggressive catwalk pushes to try to counter too. He's starting with a fault line right now, still has another flashpoint about to peek out, but poised. He will manage to get 2 kills actually. And still watching towards his A side as well with Shanks. He gets the kill from the site. That's 2 kills, leaving only 1 player remaining right now with the spike. It's going to be the Omen. It's going to be Mill. It's going to be no one as 4-pack picks him up. And they win this pistol round here for Team Underrated, which on paper should definitely show a tie game in the second half. You can't have anything closer right now, Simo, on this best out of 3 tiebreaker.
Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, as we are near the end of the day, unfortunately for the production team, they're near the end of the other day. It's just a pistol, man. It's just a pistol. I know how important they are, but they can be so volatile. I mean, Way2French, they lost the first pistol, or sorry, I think they won the first pistol, but now they're losing the second pistol. I mean, it can be a big difference maker, but on a map that supposedly favors the attack, you're just waiting for that third round, or you're looking to make this one very expensive for the second.
Yeah, and it's looking at it too, because now they get 2 simultaneous kills onto 4-pack and Poise. Ange hasn't really upgraded either. The one with the Bulldog loses the fight too, as Nano picks up the Spectre, or the Phantom rather, and now they're moving inside that site. We called, it's only a pistol round, it's only an eco. Now they're looking to even eco against their opponents to make it 8-6. Last 2 guys are still pushing forward though. Spectre in the hands of Shank. You do have the Cypher trying to move forward from B main as well. Mill is going to be the first one to spot things out with the Classic, so he's going to be the one trying to find information, as when he dies, he could let his teammates know where they're coming from. He knows that one's towards the market, the other one towards spawn, and here comes the Shed Peak. Oh, through a dark cloud.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, but he's still going to push through. He's caught between so many players. They know Shanks now is up there, but they're going to let them push in. Shanks is going to find 2, has to back away. There's still going to be 1 there, but Incred, this is getting really close. I don't even know why they're still pushing this. They don't even have the potential to defuse that spike. They find everybody. That was the eco for Way2French. That was the pistol. That was the round after the pistol they lost. So now they'll force up. And for Team Underrated, their economy is all over the place. Expect buys, you know, ranging from, you know, they might double down on a player like 4-pack or Ange, and yep, they will. 4-pack there with the operator. But the rest of the team, they don't really have the credits to buy, and so this
Ange will
really
if he wants to, but the rest probably shares, man.
Yeah, but 4-pack, if you can get some early picks, it could actually be the difference maker, and that was the sneakiest drone I've ever seen in my life. Like, you would think that he would just flick to it and take it down, but he was so intimidated by it. He was like, okay, I'll back away. Okay, all right, you have control. A one-hit kill drone that has like a human controlling it. Okay, or you could do that too. You could take down melee, and now it's the 4v5.
So you have 2 agents, 5 smokes at the beginning of the round, nobody smokes mid, and you get picked off. Maybe because they thought that 4-pack wasn't going to go for an operator as soon as they actually lost an eco. So that's a nice surprise for them, and they're going to try to play this a little bit more carefully as they're trying to split into B. So coming in from the market, coming in from B main, a dark cover to come down from the Omen as well on the defense. They're trying to push the shed, close the door, pushing through the smoke. Shanks falls down. Fault Light coming in from the back of the site. They know that Poise is hidden in the back there, but he still manages to get the kill onto the spike carrier and can peck it with a classic onto Nano. The crossfire is perfect for them right now, and we have only 1 play remaining for use. He opens up 1 and 2, looking for the 3rd kill, but to no avail as Ange kills him with the ghost from the back of the spawn, and they themselves, on just piggybacking off 1 Spectre and 1 operator, they win it for Team Underrated.
Okay, so we went off of a round that should have been Way2French's. Sorry, that should have been Team Underrated, and then Team Underrated just won a round that should have been Way2French's. It's just going back and forth, and I don't really know what to say now at this point. It's the eco for the side of Way2French. They've got pistols across the board. Are they just going to somehow come out with a flawless round and prove us wrong? Like, I have no idea what's happening anymore. But Way2French, they're ready for a B push, and they're just going to Zerg it out.
Yeah, when it comes down to a push like that as a team, you could safely say that it should be a round coming in for the defenders. They've made it in somehow with 5 players alive. A wall comes up to block them as well. Okay, so at least they'll get the plant. I think, though, this retake should still come in favor of Team Underrated. It's a 5-on-5 on this retake. Poised to start things off, too. A Frost Orb to try to clear things out. A Smoke on top of that, too. They're playing this perfectly right now for Way2French. It's all going to boil down to, like, the last 5 seconds.
Oh, my God. Shanks, okay, he's going to find 1. A couple of those shots in through the hut. They'll still try to break down the wall, but I just have no idea how Way2French were able to sneak by and make 5 onto the site. Like, this is insane. Okay, that's gonna be Nano with 1. Picks up potentially a weapon that's poised. Shanks cleaning things up. They'll take him all down. Okay, if Way2French somehow won that, I think I don't know. I think I would just chug like a whole can of tomato sauce or something. Like, I have no idea. Like, it would have been so crazy, so insane that I would have done something that was equally as insane. And I think chugging a can of tomato sauce is probably up there with how that would have happened.
More food.
Anyways, really have to commend the retake. They didn't lose composure, especially when you have 5 people sneak right by you. I feel like you can lose a whole lot of composure, but they kept it together. But now Way2French, they've got some weapons that they are looking to use in this upcoming round.
I would have liked to see, though, if they were able to go through that, instead of having Sheriffs, to have Ghosts. To have that many Ghosts and then have a recon arrow when they spotted those 3 guys inside the shed. When you go for sprays with the Ghost, you could probably get more chances of getting wall bangs than you would with the Sheriff. And we've seen how paper thin those walls are for that shed inside that B site. We probably could have seen maybe 1 or 2 players fall for Team Underrated. And then we see this unorthodox second half of eco after ecos being won. But finally, things have flattened down. We flattened the curve, at least inside this game. Who knows what happens in North America now with the 4th of July. But at least into this round, it's a full gun round.
4-pack waiting close range. He's got the operator in hand and misses the first shot. Orbital Strike going to push him down to 87 HP, and he'll back away to back a site. And Way2French that have started off control of the site. Millie will find 1 onto Poise, but it's Kanpeki who tries to play close, and Jbzzz takes them all down. 1, 2, and 3. 1 more member remains. It's Ange as he finds Incred in the cross. Cyber Cage can be going up here. Ange with a little bit of a spray. They have to wonder, where is he coming from? Likely from spawn. Hear that spray, of course, and still have utility to work with, but I think the smartest thing for Ange to do, you don't win a 1v3 in the cross. You back away with your weapon. You pick up your cages. Well, you can't pick up your cages. You pick up your camera, and you pick up some of that utility, and hope that you can move into that next round with something. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to see, though, usually somebody like Ange is the type of person that is able to clutch situations, as I've seen him on that first map. We saw him playing defense a few rounds ago towards that A side with the pistol. He has what it takes. I think he's going to be as good as he is on Haven. But with the way that Use has been actually opening up the B site and getting these picks as a Sage, as like a Sage entry fragger, pretty much, is getting the entries right now for Way2French. It's going to be a tough 1v1 should they meet face-to-face at that point. I'd probably give it to Use. So I got to say, Way2French looking very good now on the attacker side, at least from what I've seen on that previous round. Overall, though, it's still 3-2 in favor of the defenders of Team Underrated on this second half. So they're showing a lot more strength for this defensive team of Team Underrated. Now that we have finally a decent gun round for both sides, can they actually continue?
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. He dialed 0 and there goes the operator. Gone out of his hands. It's the 4v5 and to be quite honestly, one of the most important players out of the mix. 4-pack. He was the one that I think kept a lot of those shots clean and together, but who needs 4-pack when you've got Nolpenki, Poison, Shanks? They'll take out 3 quick kills, leaving the opposition wondering where the hell did that come from. The res keeps it back to the 3v4 and at least a little bit more competitive. Me walking in through pizza, hoping for a quick slice, then through the fruit market, but they'll back away as just breaking down that door tries to give information like, okay, are they going to push in or will they push in? We don't know. So if they can just take these down to 1v1s, they might actually come out on top. So Shanks will be the first 1v1 that they have to win, and Jbzzz is going to be the one that is hoping to be the leader. The executes are going to start to come through. The smokes actually come out at the same time somehow. And Shanks, oh, that is such a bad misplay. That is such a bad misplay, but he still ends up falling. That was a smoke that Way2French messed up. They still managed to push through, but they'll call that rotate over. Mill is down in hell, but up above him are a couple of angels. It is Team Underrated. Recon Bolt going to spot them out, I think, and they might actually have to be a little bit more careful. I'm not actually sure how that didn't spot them out. That's okay, that was weird. But moving forward, Nano, Jiggle peeks around the corner. Shots are good. Trade, but it's Mill that'll come out on top. And in my opinion, a weird circumstance of events. But they are 2 away from map point, and Team Underrated, they need to start putting some rounds on the board.
Yeah, I wonder if the recon arrow kind of went a little bit too far back towards that heaven side, where they didn't really need to shoot it out, because shooting it out kind of gives your position away as to how many players are actually spotted on the top of that heaven. But when you look with the time remaining after the post-plant situation, actually the time remaining was very close for them to get the plant first. I think there was like 10 or 9 seconds left, so they had to act quick. Thankfully, nobody was there to actually pick them off inside that site. But post-plant situations, they had the best crossfire possible there with 3 guys already stacked up on heaven. Way2French played that great. 10-8 right now. Only needing 3 rounds to be able to win this best out of 3. Underrated still needs quite a few. 8 to be specific, as I'm doing math live, and I finally did it. Counted correctly. As Nano is going to try to open it up with some information towards his B side to give a chance here for Way2French to just work and execute a 5-man push from B main.
Okay, here we go. Already Jbzzz finds one. Boys will answer back with the refrag. Jbzzz as well. Jbzzz is just turning it up this match somehow. Man. I don't know where this guy's coming from. 4-pack trying to hop over the barrels, but unfortunately he's about 4'10" and cannot reach the top of those barrels. Has to back away, get a different angle. It's a 2v4, and at the end of the day, I don't think Team Underrated want to risk that. But at the end of the day, that's what I see a lot in an A. They just don't risk. They don't bother to risk. And I understand you might be like, okay, well, Simo, like sometimes you gotta play it safe, sometimes you gotta save the weaponry, sometimes it's the correct call. Okay, if you just go watch Europe for one best of 3, They don't care at all about the economy. They just keep going. They just keep beating their head against the wall and hope it works. There's obviously some strategy to some of their executions, of course. But I feel like NA sometimes plays a little bit too safe. Like a 2v4, what are the odds you win that? I mean, they're not high, but you could win that.
No, I do understand your perspective as well, because when you look at guns in Valorant and what you could use on low buys versus what you'll use on low buys from players that are coming from Counter-Strike, right? If I'm looking at Counter-Strike, a low buy, a P250, or a Deagle, if I'm not on point, usually it's kind of like RNG where I can get the hits. And you're playing against AK-47s that instantly kills you. In a game like Valorant right now, you have shorties that can play around corners. You could buy a Bucky for 900 credits and still get some kills. You could get 800 for a Sheriff and still get like collaterals, headshots with the Sheriff as well. So you have a lot of weapons to work with. It would be interesting for me to study a little bit more about EU to see how much in-depth strategy goes into their playbook in terms of like, if we force this, what can we play with pistols? What can we play with submachine guns? What can we play with shotguns where you have different positionings on every single rounds and situations? Yeah. That'll be actually quite really nice to see, but I don't know if we're there yet.
Listen, I just want to be like, you know, I would take over being a caster for Valorant. I would take being a Bucky coach. That's just my job. Just teach people how to use the Bucky. I'm a shotgun expert, okay? Speaking of experts, though, it's Mill that has his sights on some heads as he clicks on one onto Poise. Jbzzz will follow suit, and it's just... I just feel like it's round after round. They just can't seem to find anything to work on the defense. Once this half turned on, it's Team Underrated that, you know, maybe they're not the ones that are sitting in front of some Poutine. Maybe it's Way2French that are just powered by Poutine and the smell of it gives them the energy to push forward because they are just somehow... I don't know. There's like a dog in a kennel. They're just barking nonstop, trying to get out, and they're winning these round after round.
Dude, this is crazy still, though, from the way that Way2French is executing, because I've praised how good Incred was on that first half, getting those quad kills or whatnot. But now that you're looking on the attacker side, the amount of entry kills that Use and Mill are currently getting for the team is incredible to see. No pun intended for that player in the team as Incred, but it's just nice to see that type of gameplay from that team. Now they're trying to get this kill onto the last guy. They will be able to do so. Incred even shoots his corpse for a little bit of BM. And now we are at map series point for Way2French. One more round to punch the ticket to the grand finals of the Valorant Trovo Challenge.
Yeah, and Poised is... Oh, he had to force up, man. No armor, probably no utility to get that Phantom. You hate to see it, but on the opposite side, Emilio sitting on 7,200 and just forgetting to buy his heavy armor. So we have two polar opposites here. One that wants the armor, can't afford it, and the other that just refuses to buy it because he's a Chad. And,
Oh, man. So the tournament is on the line here for Underrated. It looks like they don't have a lot of money to work with either, so it's not looking too good. Okay, no, never mind. I saw a pistol being pulled out, but they have an operator. They have a bunch of rifles. Maybe it was just pulling out the pistol to fall back. My fault on that. But nonetheless, Way2French are creeping up towards this catwalk, breaking the owl drone, and they have two players towards the long side. So they are looking for a split towards A, but the thing is, we switched over positions. Instead of having that Sage and a Cypher playing at A and B respectively, while they switch sides, a wall comes up towards A main, Omen Dark cover towards this tree side and also towards Garden. They're going to break that wall. Three guys are up on the Sky Heaven for the defender side to try to hold this ground.
That's good. Campeki with 2, and that'll give them the man advantage now. Unfortunately, Omen is down to just a little bit. A lot of recon bolt action that's coming out. Rinkred's going to find one. Going to make it bounce off the side, and it doesn't actually hit the bounce. And it's Way2French that punch in their ticket to face off Oxygen, Supremacy, Inox, Jerk, Moon, DSK, and KP will be waiting them tomorrow. This Team Underrated. Unfortunately, they will fall. And to be quite honest, I thought they played quite well. I don't think Ascent was really the map for them, quite honestly. Shanks tried to do what he could. Campeki as well. But Incred, and Jbzzz, they had a game of a lifetime. And one more thing, Jbzzz, up until a few weeks ago, wasn't even a part of the team. He's a new addition, and to see a game like this come out of him, it has to bring joy to the entire roster.
No, definitely. You got to commend him for the way that he played the attacker side as a Sage, an entry fragger as a Sage too, that paid off tremendously for the team. And I was going to say, that last map, before we actually won that final point, guess what the scoreline was, Simo? I think it was 12-8. So there was 3 situations in 3 maps that went 12-8. The first one on Haven, it was a comeback from Team Underrated to win it 13-12. The second map was Way2French continuing off the 12-8 scoreline and winning 13-8 on Bind. And the same scenario here on Ascent. As here we go, seeing how the way that Incredible was playing that defensive side I was telling you guys before. This is probably some notes. That's why Inox is watching here inside this chat, because they're going to face off against that team tomorrow in the best out of 3. There is $5,000 on the line because it's $5,000 for first place. Second place only gets $1,800. But still, got to give a big thanks to Trovo to put all this money together and to GLL for powering this tournament as well. But overall, though, in this matchup, it's been nothing but so many close rounds. I don't think that the final score gives enough justice into how exciting this matchup and this best out of 3 was, and how good Team Underrated looked in this whole tournament.
You know, I have to give credit where credit is due. Way2French have been fighting valiantly to try to get a team to look at them, to try to get a team to say hello, pick them up. But, you know, on the opposite side, you have a team like Oxygen Supremacy, who are obviously on a team, but I'm almost certain that if somebody like 100 Thieves, of course they already have a team, but like a very prominent team would, if they were looking and they were cooking and they wanted a piece of that Oxygen Supremacy pie, I'm sure they would have a slice or two. But like we said, the grand finals tomorrow, it's going to be Oxygen Supremacy up against Way2French, and quite honestly, this best of 3 that we just witnessed was the only best of 3 that actually went to game number 3. Everything else was a 2-0. We saw earlier on Demon Time, they could just not handle the heat. They had to get out of the kitchen as Oxygen Supremacy were cooking up a storm. But tomorrow, it'll be you and D-Man on the mic covering the European Grand Finals and the North American Grand Finals to close out the Trovo Challenge.
That's right. It's going to be super exciting. I don't think I've casted with D-Man in like 12 years, so it's going to be nice to have a reunion with D-Man and myself. It'll give you guys some Valorant action. Basically, throughout this whole weekend, we've had 2 areas happening at the same time. We had the European Cup and basically the North American Cup. European Cup always happened like 6 hours ahead of us, and then as soon as that was done, we went straight into NA. So on the other end of the bracket, we'll be covering the grand finals of the European side. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's going to be happening on Sunday. And there you go. The grand final for that one is nolpenki versus Team Jbzzz, or Jbzzz, or Jbzzz. Right? But it's going to be a nice grand finals because, like I said, it's interesting for me. I haven't seen a lot of European yet, so it's going to be nice for D-Man to guide me through that. And then following that one will be the other grand finals, as we just witnessed. It is going to be the Way2French moving forward against Inox's team. It's going to be a great matchup versus Oxygen Supremacy. And D-Man and I will give you guys the action for that one. But at least want to give a big thanks to you, Simo. Big action. Big guy to move into this play-by-play. Any final words here before we close off the stream?
Honestly, just really happy to be a part of this tournament. Really happy to all of you in chat. Of course, I know Trovo is a new platform. You can't expect 30 million viewers in the chat. But for those of you that have been here with us, I really appreciate you sticking around, especially if you're from Europe. The production guys, they're probably just ants in their pants waiting for us to close out the broadcast. And
That's
listen,
right.
At the end of the day, love these guys. They've been a great pleasure to work with, and love the people in the chat as well. And of course, you too, Van Silly, for being a great partner alongside me today. I think we had a blast casting some of the action.
Always do, always do. And with that, I want to give a big thanks to Trovo, to GLL, everybody into production. We'll let them go to sleep, and we'll see you guys tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you follow Simo and myself on Twitter. In case I gave the wrong time, I'll tweet out the right time tomorrow as well, so we can cover the grand finals of the Valorant Trovo Challenge. Until then, have a good night, and see you tomorrow.